Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it.
Look, mile like 3-6 pulled up, ski trip, cold winter. All my eating good, I remember when we had no dinner. West side, east side, no side, both sides with me. Check, coming, check, leaving flex season 12, come and get me. Gil, the run around, high speed, chasing all the big bags. Bending corners, bending rules, bending necks, Gil, the whiplash. Slide through, hot knife, warm butter storm, gutter drain lane. Young man, old habit, still at it, tryna let my chain hang. True story, new story, 2-story, condo, B&B. 4 bath, 1 me, no key, like I did a B&E. B&Me so good, so hood, so not worried about it. 250,000 new views, old news, know you probably heard about it. Extra, extra, read about it, headline, word around town, flexing. Ballin' on my course, so I ain't worried about nobody out of bounds, stressing. Feeling like Hercules, murder these ain't a problem to me. Tried to tell the maid service don't come unless you bringin' condoms to me.
Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. We gon' come and see about it. Flexing ain't discreet about it. Extra, extra read about it. Say you wanna beef about it. Find out nothing sweet about it. Moving, shaking, coming down, tipping. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down, tipping. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down, tipping. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping. Moving, shaking, coming down, tipping. Stacking, racking, money, power flipping.
Ay, ay. Look, I'm too cool for the rules, baby, get off of me. Never need no push, I do it all for me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be. Too true for the flex, baby, don't cap to me. Drop 50, bring 150 right back to me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be. Look, Papa don't preach, teachers don't teach. Gon' reach, that's facts. I ain't worried about none of that. I'm making that cash stack. Bunch of O's like NASCAR, but it's really more like NASDAQ. Why they thinking that they hot when they really more like quarter on me like a referee? Hating what they'll never be. Small top with a big bottom, yeah, shorty shaped like a letter D. Let her have it, then I let her be. If you love it, gotta let it grow. Crazy cause you really never know. When I'm hurting, never let it show. I'm a two-tone, two-phone, two-chain, new thing, lame whip, but you a broke. Low class, no cash, certified lame. I'm getting to it like I ought to. Couldn't pick, so I bought two. Understand why your chick came, I'm just trying to figure why she brought you. I'm really reppin' and I'm flexed up, and I ain't gotta tell him I'm next up. Sleep on the they rest up, but I'm up and I'm getting my checks up. Me and the fellas be high as propellers, ain't could tell us we great. Looking at like how do you figure unless you been talking about 8 figures. I'm too cool for the rules, baby, get off of me. Never need no push, I do it all for me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be. Too true for the flex, baby, don't cap to me. Drop 50, bring 150 right back to me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be. Look how we litty, we turned up the city, we raising the bar height. I been finessing, just look at them stressing, yeah, they been up all night. Sipping this water with somebody's daughter, she take what I taught her and build on it. Came in this game on that today, ain't in a couple years later, we still on it. Be hating on it. be waiting on it like a new season. I bet an acre on it. I put some paper on it like I'm loose leafing. Buying them assets. Build me a cash net I could fall in. Look at my last bit. Ain't got a tiptoe. I'm all in. Think on a level that can't fail. And I roll me a J with the hate mail. Been doing good on the merch sale. All this bread on me look like a bake sale. Tell a young what's really good. I'll be really good on a jaw jack. Send an email about the bread. I'ma hit you back with the call back. I'm too cool for the rules, baby. Get off of me. Never need no push, I do it all for me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be. Too true for the flex, baby, don't cap to me. Drop 50, bring 150 right back to me. Keep a couple real hitters, got them on call for me. Money moving, got it in the market where it ought to be.
Welcome back to another Thursday night edition. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Hit that like button. Let me know. Let me know where you are checking in from. Let me know where you're checking in from. We got a special episode tonight. I decided to bring Rob back. I think it was only right. And I think it also can be very educational for a lot of people that are coming into the space as new entrepreneurs that, watch my content, and you can kind of get a grasp on things from someone who has done it other than me, someone that obviously probably you probably learned a lot from me, right? As far as,
when you hired me, I ain't never moved nothing. I didn't know shit about the box truck industry. Everything I learned, I mimicked from you.
Okay.
My thing was, if the wheel's round, you can't change it. And I saw you had that wheel spinning, and I paid attention. Last time I was on here, I told you, I paid attention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys walked around talking about what they wanted to start, but nobody was paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
I paid attention to, a lot of different things and aspects. Henry showed me, how to move shit properly.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron showed me how to move stuff properly. And then I just took it and was like, okay, this could be improved on by 10%. And I just improved on everything that I was showed and taught by 10%. But everything you showed, everything that you were doing, it was honestly no reason for me to add 10% to it. Because at the end of the day, you was a young black man that was in your own lane that you created,
Appreciate that. And we're going to get into it. I know you only got an hour. Let me get everybody in the room. So everybody come on in. I got Mark Brown in the building. I see Mark Brown. Ben Short, come on in. Shout out to Pippi. Shout out to all the moderators. Shout out to the MGMs. I haven't been shouting out the MGMs. I've been forgetting. I can't forget about y'all. So shout out to all the MGMs, the Mentor Gang members in the building. Shout out to all the MGMs. Shout out to the FBA in the building, the MGMs, the FBA. Come on in, Pippi. Shout out to moderators, Pippi. We got Oklahoma, we got AZ, we got Florida, we got Connecticut. 5-Star Logistics just finished an Amazon load, checking in from the road. Shout out to 5-Star Logistics. Augusta, Georgia in the building. Shout out to all the MGM. So we're going to get straight into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button. We got an hour with Rob. Let's see if we can get 100 likes in the next hour. Let's see if we can get 100 likes in the next hour. So I appreciate everybody coming on in. Hit that like. Shout out to SD Walk. I see Mississippi in the building. So let's get straight into it. All right. So you went out on your own and you started your own final mile business. Now, walk me through the process. I know you said you came into a large, lump sum of money. I don't know if it was large, small, but you said you came into some change, and you wanted to do this. Tell me about the process of where your mind was at when you went out and did it. Were you nervous? Were you scared? Where was your mindset at when you went out and set out to do this on your own?
At that particular time when I came up on that bag,
Mm-hmm.
I was hesitant to
Mm-hmm.
invest in myself.
Mm-hmm.
In the back of my mind, I was like, man, you seen what this man did, but that was that man. Can you do the same thing?
You talking about me,
And
right?
right. And
Okay.
my thing was, my old lady was like, man, we got bills, we trying to move out the ghetto, and you talking about spending this money. And I was like, man, look, I got to take this chance. Now, I
Mm-hmm.
was nervous at first,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I didn't think that it was gonna blow up the way it did for me. I thought it was just gonna be one truck and a helper,
Mm-hmm.
and it was gonna stay like that for at least a year before I was able to expand.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a lot of hesitation. You know, Once I started looking in, DOTs and the fees for that and the insurance costs. I'm like, damn, this took damn near the whole bag to get started.
Mm-hmm.
And then, these box trucks, they gas guzzlers. Back
Mm-hmm.
then, gas wasn't that high.
Right.
Now it's high. So for someone to
Mm-hmm.
jump off in it these days, they got to, depending on where they stay at, they got to take that into major consideration.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, when I started with Select,
Mm-hmm.
Select had me driving all the way out to Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
So I was definitely pumping $80 a day in gas. And by the time I made it back home, I was on E.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was running 5 days a week. So I was easily out $400 just in gas. And I had put money to the side for gas to hold me
Mm-hmm.
over till I got that first check.
Mm-hmm.
Old lady telling me, man, we need this, we need that. You gotta wait. We can't do nothing. You
Mm-hmm.
know? So yeah, it was scary at first.
But you started
But
with one truck, right? You started with one truck, and that one truck you started with, how did so what was Mike giving you initially with that one? First, take me, who was your helper? Was it the guy that used to work for me too that you brought in, referred in? What
yeah,
was that guy's name?
Lavelle.
Lavelle. Okay. That's who you were working
He
with?
he was my
Okay.
helper.
He was your
And
helper
originally Select was giving me like 10 jobs because I only had the one truck
a day.
and a day.
And were they in the
And
city or were they on the outskirts? Because remember
they
when we was doing, we
they
had the
were
city.
they were all the way out in Crystal Lake, Mount Prospect, Belvedere, you
So
know.
so so they gave you the new guy specials, like what I train everybody. Whenever you going into a logistics company, they always start you with the route that the people that were there that have seniority don't want. And by this being
Exactly.
Chicago, it's plenty of volume in the city. And if a person that's from the city can get a city route, they don't want to drive 50 miles out to Crystal Lake. So they stuck you with the new guy route.
Yep.
Even though they knew you came from under me, they still
Yep.
put you out there. Okay. So they
They put
stuck
me
you with
way the hell out there.
put you out in
So
Crystal Lake. Okay.
so I'm out in Crystal Lake, 10 jobs a day. At first, they were giving me quotes like 450 for the 10 jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't squeak. I just lowered my head and went and did it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I'm like damn near 18,000 invested, and I'm like, I
What
can't
did that
complain.
what did that 18,000 go to?
That 18,000 was to cover Laval's pay for 2 weeks till I got my first invoice, the
Mm-hmm.
truck, the insurance, the DOT, and gas.
Now, my brother told me back then you were going to Brent to get your
Yeah.
truck, right? Now, were you buying your trucks or were you doing that lease thing that he was doing back then?
The first truck I purchased from him.
Okay. Where'd you get that truck for? Just to give these guys an idea, because I think a lot of these guys be thinking I'll be flexing on what I was buying those trucks for. And I know you started buying your truck after, probably a few years after I bought mine. What would you buy your first truck for?
It was, I believe, a 2004
Mm-hmm.
GMC, and he hit me over the head for like 14,000 basically.
Yeah, he hit you over the head. He
You
hit you over
know,
the head. And that was
now the
like,
truck,
yeah, he hit you.
the
Yeah,
truck,
he hit you.
he had some other trucks there that were like 11.5, 12.5, but
Mm-hmm.
this particular truck, it only had like 60,000 miles. So, I was like, all right, I'll take that. And at first he was like, well, that one ain't for sale. I'm like, then what, why you show it to me?
Right.
And after, he said that one wasn't for sale. And he seen when I pulled up, I let him know I had cash and I was ready to drive off today.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got back in my car, like, man, I got to think about it because I don't need all those miles because I'm going to put miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
Before I got out the lot, he stopped me and he was like, all right, look, you can buy it, but you can't grab it till next week. I got to run it through a little inspection, make sure. He's like, I can't sell you something. And then you get out there and, something go wrong with the truck and then, you complaining. I was like, fair enough. So, he did his little touch ups, painted the rims, changed the oil, made sure the brakes were good, painted the back bumper, the front bumper. He made it look, extremely presentable.
Correct. Okay. Okay. So you bought the truck for him for 14,000. I think that's kind of high for that year. Because the first truck I bought for him, I bought it for 7,900 cash.
Yeah, but you were buying in
Yeah.
value.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You
I was
just
going
weren't
every other
buying one
month.
at a time.
Right.
You
Right. Right.
know?
Okay. So you bought the truck. You got your DOT, your insurances. Who'd you go with for your insurance your first time around? Would you go with Grange?
No, I didn't go with Grange. I went through a buddy of mine's when I lived down in Champaign. He actually had a farmer's insurance agency.
Okay.
He was an agent. So I
Okay.
went through him.
Okay. And what company did
And
you go
I
with?
registered. Now, I actually saved money because
Okay.
I registered the truck down in Champaign, Urbana,
Mm.
instead of having it registered here in Chicago. And
Okay.
that literally made like damn near $1,000 difference on my insurance.
Okay.
And then all I told them was, you know, every now and then I go to Chicago to do deliveries at least once a week.
Okay.
So in case something was to happen while I was in Chicago, I was covered.
Okay. Okay. So you registered downstate in Champaign. You got the truck, you got the DOT, you got the insurance, you got everything going, and you made sure you had enough money to cover Lavelle's pay for the first 2-3 weeks or whenever Select issues the first payment. I think it's a 2 or 3 week hole, and all of that was about 18 grand.
Yep.
All right. So you get started, you're running your first week. Walk me through what your first. You already knew what the job entailed because you have been doing Bye Bye Baby for me for some years.
Right.
So you already knew what the job entailed. So, but walk me through your first week of not doing it for someone else. Walk me through your first week of doing it on your own, seeing all these expenses starting to come in.
The first week doing it on my own, they send over the work orders the night before. You got to route them, set time frames. So now I'm sitting there, with one phone, Googling addresses and, how long it'll take and how many miles it is to try to
Mm-hmm.
figure all this out. Now, the very first day, it took me a lot. They kept calling. We need them time frames. We need them time frames. Give
Right.
me a minute. Give me a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So after I figured out a good pattern, which
Mm-hmm.
was I'd have them send me to work over as early as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd have Lavelle drive while I sat there. I started bringing my laptop with me, and I
Okay.
started putting in addresses, and I forgot what app I was using, but you could.
Route for me.
Yeah, there you go. So I started putting in the addresses in that. Then it started showing me, where I need to start and where I need to end.
Mm-hmm.
So that made giving the time frames a hell of a lot easier. So at first, that was like pressure. And I'm like, damn, my first day out here, I hope I don't fuck this up.
Mm-hmm.
So went out, go do the route. Everything ran smoothly.
Okay.
Second day, everything ran smoothly. Third
Okay.
day, Lavelle decides he don't want to go to work. Now I did not anticipate that part. I didn't have a backup plan for that particular.
Is that because you assumed since he was your neighbor and your boy, because you referred Lavelle to my company, Lavelle worked for me. And by him living
Yep,
on your block and everything, did you not have a backup plan because you didn't think he would do you like how he would probably do someone else like me and not show up to work?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly. And
Okay.
so what I ended up doing was, I don't know if you remember, but I had Brang Lavelle's brother Mike. You know,
Did he work for
tattooed.
me at some point?
No, you didn't want to hire him because he looked too thuggish.
Okay.
But
But I met him.
yeah, you did meet him. Mike was the
Okay.
type of guy that literally, you know, if you look at him and you're walking down the street with your lady, y'all cross the street.
Okay.
He was like a ranking member of the Vice Lords and, you know, been
Okay.
to the joint. And I had no choice. And Mike's like,
Mhm.
well, I'll do it. Lavelle, still drunk from last night. And I'm like,
Okay.
okay. So I take Mike,
Mhm.
and Mike had a general idea on how to put shit together. So that
Okay.
third day was a long day because as we going, I'm explaining to Mike how things got to go and what we got to do. That fourth day, the Val pop up. I'm like, nah, I already told your brother I'm taking him. So Laval was like, well, I'll just ride with y'all. Like, you're not going to get paid because, I got to pay Mike.
Right.
So he rode with us. And while I'm trying to explain to Mike what's going on, Laval, by him being my boy, he kept trying to throw in his 2 cents. So I had to take him outside and be like, look here, I pay you. You don't pay me. I pay your brother. You're not paying your brother. Be quiet because you're confusing your brother. Let me show him how I want shit done. Because if I'm not there, he should mimic what I do, not what he wants to do and not what you want to do.
Mhm.
So Lavelle kind of had a little attitude, but he fell back. And then, all bullshit aside, out of everybody that worked for me, Mike was like, number one.
Okay. Mike ended up being number one. Okay.
Yep.
So first truck, I'm assuming you ran that for how long before you decided to get a second truck?
I ran that first truck for a total of 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
After 5 weeks, I went and got 2 more trucks.
Okay.
So now
Now
I'm up to 3.
walk me through that
Now,
process. When you went back to Brent, you went back to Brent for the second and third truck?
no, I didn't go back to Brent. I had saved up some money because at this point, I was making damn near between $700 and $1,200 a day fucking with Select off of
Gross
one
or
truck.
gross, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Now, hold on. Let's stop there because I want this to be a teaching point too. So, depending on the route for that one truck, you were making 700 to 1,200 a day for Select. All right. You got one person to pay. Your truck you bought outright, right?
yeah,
Cash. What was your insurance like a month for that truck?
I paid the insurance for the year. The insurance for the year ended up costing me like 4,300.
4,300. So you paid that for the year. And what were you paying your helper per day? Were you paying them per route, per
No, I
stop?
was paying them a flat rate a day, 150.
150, whether it was one stop or 20 stops, 150, right?
Right. If you got in the
Okay.
truck, you made 150.
All right. And then what were you averaging on fuel a day?
$80 a day.
All right. So 150, 8250, you were spending about $230 a day. So you were grossing 7 to 1,200. So on a bad day, which is really in that case still a good day, 700. You were
I
making
was
about
picking
what,
off at least
470
6.
bucks? Okay,
Uh, about maybe 6.
about six. Okay,
About 6.
okay. So you're making anywhere from about six to a little under $1,000 a day, give or take, depending on
Yep.
what the routes look like. And that was what you were netting. All right. So
And that was
from
with
there, oh, go ahead.
that
Go
was
ahead.
with Select. That was with Select giving me 10 jobs a day.
Okay, and you were going out to Crystal Lake, okay, and the surrounding far out suburbs. So then you said about 5 months later,
No, 5 weeks.
5 weeks later,
Five
you just
weeks. I
you
had
decided
I had stocked all my money, and I didn't spend no money.
you were
You know
running
what I'm
6 or 7 days,
saying?
or
5.
five. You were running five.
So
Okay.
I stacked all this money. I was gonna go back to Brent and do the lease.
Mm-hmm.
My buddy come along, and my buddy's like, "Well, you could go to U-Haul and you could buy their old moving trucks. They got an auction going on."
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to U-Haul, I ended up picking up 2 U-Haul trucks,
Okay.
and they ended up costing me like 3,500 a piece. One needed a starter, one needed a trans.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that shit repaired. So like I said, now I'm up 3 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So got to knocking on neighbors' doors
Okay.
and offering people that lived on the block jobs,
Okay.
you know. And a couple guys jumped at it, and I'd have them ride with me and Mike, and we would train them for 2 days. And then I started splitting everybody up. Like, all right, you got license. Mike, you go with him because he's new. Lavelle, you back on the truck with me. We're gonna grab this other guy and we're gonna train him. So did that rotation for like another 2 weeks. So now all 3 trucks are running. Everybody has a helper.
Okay.
So in the process of all that, money started, they started giving me 30 jobs. So I started making more money. So I was like, all right, I get lucky one day. I pick up a dresser from Home Goods. We cocoon it and shrink wrap it. So I throw a blanket on the floor, set the dresser on it, pull the ends up. Instead of using tape to cut back on money, I bought the moving rubber bands. And I just throw a couple rubber bands around it, throw a blanket over the top, some more
Mm-hmm.
rubber bands, and then we shrink wrap the shit out of it. Well, I go deliver this to this little old lady, Italian lady.
Mm-hmm.
And when me and Mike got to her house and we're walking in, I tell her, "Ma'am, my name is Robert. I'm with Lionheart Deliveries and Moves. Can I do a walkthrough before I bring your dresser in so I make sure we don't damage nothing?" So as she's walking with me through the house, I'm moving flower pots, putting them to the side, making sure that nothing's going to get broke or knocked over. We're in a very, very exclusive gated community.
Mm-hmm.
So when I bring in the dresser, me and Mike, we got it lifted up with the piano strap, and we take it into the room. She follows us. We unwrap it. We set it up for her. Boom. Mike takes everything to the truck. I'm getting her to sign the work order. She tells me, "I've never had anyone come to my house with a piece of furniture packaged like that." I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Well, this is common practice. This is what we did, for the last guy we worked for." And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "I am extremely impressed." And she's like, "You're very professional and you guys are very polite." I'm like, "Well, thank you, ma'am." She gave each one of us a $50 tip.
Mm-hmm.
She asked for my phone number. At that point, I didn't have business cards made up yet. So I
Mm-hmm.
give her my number, and she asked me, "Do you move anybody?" And I said, "Well, ma'am, right now we're only doing the deliveries." I said, "But I do have experience moving, and if somebody needs something moved, I could work it into my schedule." From this one lady, she gave me her niece, her sister, her cousin. They gave me 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it went so on and so on. I've never advertised. I've never posted anything on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. All the moves I received were word of mouth.
Yeah.
So after I did the move for her, I ended up with another move. So when we went to go do that move, the first move I went to go do, it was a 4-bedroom house,
Mhm.
2-story. And they were moving into a 5-bedroom house. And it took every bit of 3 guys at $150 an hour. And it took us 15 freaking hours to get everything packed up, drive the distance over to the new house, which was like 35 miles. And we went from Barrington to Hinsdale.
Yeah, it's a nice little
And
distance. A
they
nice
were
distance.
they were so impressed that I was like their family's personal mover. If
Hmm.
they ordered something from the store, they'd call and ask me to go pick it up. And charging them was never an issue. They never had an issue with any of my prices. And from just dealing with the old lady and 3 of her family members, that gave me an opportunity to go buy 2 more trucks. So now I'm at 5. So I got the 3 that are running select, and I
Hmm.
got 2 for moving. So then I started, branching out from there. Like, okay, who else can I move shit for? I went and got a hold of LKQ, even though they have their own delivery service. I was telling them, well, what if somebody orders something and it's got to go to Detroit, or it's got to go to, Michigan, or it's got to go to Indiana.
Hmm.
And they were like, all right, well, if we get orders, we'll call you.
Hmm.
So they called me up and they're like, hey, we need an engine and a transmission, taken down to Grand Rapids. All right, cool, no problem. I went and rented a U-Haul because I wasn't going to put that greasy shit in none of my trucks. Plus,
Hmm.
the U-Haul trucks all got steel floors. So when I
Right.
got back to Chicago, I just power washed it. So I had LKQ that would call me maybe 3 times a month, and that was guaranteed, a quick 300-400 for a couple-hour ride. You know, so I started expanding, who I did work for slowly. But when Kirk was on here last week talking about why would you give him something that ain't worth it, I don't know what kind of business Kirk does. It wasn't worth it for you because you had other endeavors going on, and
Hmm.
you didn't do that much for Select, you know. But due to the fact that I was concentrating, fully with them at first, it was
Hmm.
extremely profitable.
Let, let, let's let,
Extremely.
let's talk about that. We did do a lot for Select. You probably didn't see it because I had you doing other stuff. Like on the weekends, I remember some weekends running 4 trucks for Select. I didn't run the most I would run for Select during the week was 2. The weekends I would have to clean up a lot of BS from the other contractors locally. We would run 4 on the weekends because remember I had those Office Depot trucks would be sitting Saturday and Sunday,
Right.
right? Those so
We'd have to take the leftovers out the truck, put them on one truck, so that shit could
right,
get returned back, so we could
right.
go do our routes for Select.
Exactly. Right. So all those Office Depot trucks, I would try to maximize that as much as I could. So that's why I ran more trucks for Select on the weekend. So let's talk about that as far as why it didn't work for me. You probably can understand it. You know what I'm saying? What Kirk probably doesn't understand because Kirk didn't see the infrastructure and the cost uh, that was associated with running at the level that I was running at that time, right? Whereas for you, you were parking your trucks where in front of your house, right? On your block.
Yeah, I had like this white wall right in front of my doorstep.
Okay. So like you were there, you the warehouse, all the trucks, all like 30 people I gotta pay for. I'm paying quarterlies, I'm paying Medicaid, I'm paying unemployment insurance. I'm paying Social Security. You could talk about it now. Were you paying, like, how were you, what was your payment structure? Was this all under the table? Like, how were you paying these
I was
guys?
I was paying these guys flat cash,
Okay.
and I'd make them sign a receipt,
Okay.
and I let them know when it comes time for me to do my taxes,
Mm-hmm.
your name is going to be known that I paid you cash, and I didn't take nothing out your check. I'm like, the same way I'm a contractor, you are a contractor,
Okay.
and that's how I paid them.
So it benefited you because you didn't have all the expenses.
Right.
Whereas that contract, it didn't benefit what they were paying per stop with all the overhead uh that I had at that time. That contract, it wasn't beneficial for me because I wasn't seeing any profit from what they're paying. Now, minus all the overhead, then yes, this is why you were able to make a profit. I just don't think Kirk really understands. And Kirk ran Select. He ran Select, so he was running it during the time I was running. So he should understand. But I don't know. Kirk. His mind frame is not that uh, of an American businessman. So that's another story. So it worked for you, which is good. So now you're up to 5 trucks. You're up to 5 trucks. Now walk me through getting up to 5 trucks. Your mind frame from coming from me to getting a truck to now being at 5 trucks. I'm pretty sure that was a mind frame shift. There was a lot
It,
more
it
mental
was
wear.
it was, it was shocking. It really was, cause I they come banging on my door one day, and the police are outside. The police are getting ready to ticket all 5 of those fucking trucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk up to the police officer, and he's like, "These your trucks?" I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yeah." He's like, "You can't park them here." I said, "I know that, officer." I said, "But 2 months ago, I started with one, and I didn't think this shit was gonna snowball the way it did." And the cop looked at me, and I said, "All these guys you see standing in front of my yard, they all work for me. They all live on the block." I'm like, "I'll park each one of these trucks in front of, each one of their houses." And he looked at me. He said, "I'll tell you what, I ain't gonna give you no ticket." He's like, "But see if you can find someplace else to park these trucks." And I was
A
like,
neighbor
"Damn,
called.
cool."
A neighbor called, didn't they?
A neighbor called because, like I said, I literally, you know, from my front door, they were all lined up right behind each other. And the neighbors that lived on my side of the street, they
Mm-hmm.
respected it because I hired everybody. So they would
Mm-hmm.
give me enough parking space to park all the trucks.
Probably was a little
At the
old lady that
corner,
called. That's what happened to
at the,
me when I was first getting started.
the cop told me, he's like, "Well, you're going to have to go talk to your alderman." So I go talk to the alderman. The alderman's like, "Nah, you got to park the truck on a numbered street," which would have been 75th. And I'm like, "Man, I don't want to park the truck up there and then somebody busts a window thinking something's in it. Now I got to pay more." On the corner of the block I stood on 75th and Champlain, there was a vacant gas station. But the lot had cars on it, had garbage in it. So I was talking with one of the neighbors, and one of the neighbors was like, "Well, shit, Christopher Columbus did it. Go up there, clean it up a little, park a couple of your trucks up there." So I get the guys together, and I'm like, "Come on, we're going to go clean this." And I was getting ready to order a dumpster. And a guy from the city was out there taking pictures. And he looked at me with a shovel and a rake and the other guys, and he's like, "What are you getting ready to do?" And I explained to him my situation. I'm like, "Well, we're going to clean a lot." He's like, "You're going to clean this lot?" I'm like, "Yeah." He said, "I'll tell you what, we're getting ready to clean the streets." And over there in that neighborhood, what they would do is they would put dumpsters on every damn near every 6 blocks. So when the street sweeper came by, he had a place to empty out. So he had them dump the dumpster directly in front of that joint. And he told me, load it up. Here's my number. Call me. If you need another one, I have another one. Bring in. So it was a lot of work. So I went and grabbed the local crackheads and paid them $50. And I had 6 of them out there to pick up all the garbage. Guy from the city comes back out about 8 hours later, and there was about 6 cars on the lot. And he had the police come and run the VIN numbers. And then he told me, he's like, look here, I got a buddy that got a tow truck. Call him and he'll come grab these cars. So I called him. He came and grabbed the cars. Now, these cars have been sitting up there for like 15 years from what I was told. So now I got the lot completely empty. Completely empty. We go through there. We cut down all the weeds, clean the fence line, start parking the trucks up there. And the owner that owned the lot, he wanted to pop up and bitch. So I had to explain to him, I just saved you a $3,000 ticket because the city was going to find the shit out of you. So he allowed me to park my trucks there. So, parking the trucks, that problem was resolved. They were all parked, ran a chain across the front of it, put 2 big padlocks on the end. Everything was, kosher.
Mm-hmm.
Only problem I had was I was still going to Crystal Lake. And I was going to Crystal Lake with damn near 3 trucks. 2 of the trucks I was using for moves. So I get a phone call one day from Michael Conan, cussing me out. You dumb mother effer.
Mike Cohen cussed you out?
Wait a minute, listen. Cuss me out. You dumb mother effer. You're fired. I'm like, what the hell did I do?
Mike Cohen?
Listen, he said, you put together that goddamn cubicle storage space and it fell apart and it hit this lady's kid in the head and she wants to sue us. I'm like, where? Gave me an address downtown. I said, oh, dude, you're cussing at the wrong guy. It wasn't me, Mike. He said, what? He said, this Robert? I said, yeah, Robert Velasquez. He's like, oh, shit. I apologize, Robert. So he hung up. About 30 minutes later, I get a phone call from Amory. Amory's like, well, yeah, he got you guys mixed up. I'm sorry, Rob. I'm like, no problem. He said, but can you do us a favor? I'm like, sure, what's up? Is there any way you could go downtown and take a good look at this damage and see what you could do and see if you could smooth it over with the customer? I'm like, I got 2 jobs left. If you reschedule them for tomorrow, I could do it. So the little Puerto Rican chick called me back that worked dispatch. I forgot her name.
I forget her name, yeah.
Not Dashi, the other one.
Bonnie or something. I know you're talking about. She
Yeah,
sound like
so she
Lori
called-
Perez from Do It the Right
Yeah.
Thing, yeah.
So she calls me up and she's like, okay, your jobs are rescheduled. I'm going to send you the information on this job. So I go downtown. We on the 36th floor. And I knock on the door. The lady start cussing up a storm. And I calm her down. I go in the house. I'm looking at this thing. This thing just imploded on itself. The kid went to go open the door, and he must have hung on it just a little bit, and the whole thing just collapsed. So I'm looking at it, missing damn near 75% of the screws. All the dowels broke in it. And I look at her, I said, well, ma'am, I could fix this. I just got to run to Home Depot and I'll be right back. And she looked, she was like, fine. So we go to Home Depot. I buy a couple, like a little pack of different type screws. I buy a bunch of dowels and some Gorilla Glue. Go back to her house. We taking it apart. Mike's sitting there, talking to the kid, got the kid laughing. So now she's kind of, she's still mad, but not that angry.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike's telling the kid, yeah, when when we see this guy, we're gonna beat him up for you since this door hit you in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Kid lets it be known that he hung on that door. Now, if it would have been put together right, even though he hung on it, it wouldn't have fell apart. So
Right.
we put all this back together for her, and she's kind of leery. And I'm like, you go over there, you can yank on it. You can yank on it all you want. I'm like, it's strong. So she went over there, got to shaking on it. We put the attachment on the wall so it didn't fall forward on top of the child. And, we calmed her down big time. And I told her, I said, well, the reason I'm here is because the guy that came out here, when you called, they called him up and told him to take all his supplies back to the warehouse that he was fired. So that's all she wanted to hear. It was a young black kid that ran like the downtown area. I can't think of what his name was, but I don't know if it was him or one of his helpers that did that. After that, I get a phone call from Amory, and Amory tells me, all right, you ain't got to worry about going to Crystal Lake no more. You got the downtown area and the north side. And I'm like, oh, really? So I went from $80 a day in gas all the way down to $40 a day in gas.
I'm curious to know who, because when you were working for me, we covered all that. We covered everything from Orland, Bye Bye Baby, to the one
Right?
on the north side. But we covered
There,
pretty much everything for them.
there
I'm
was
curious.
there was a young black guy. I can't think of his name. He dealt with all the buildings downtown, and I thought it was a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
but all blessings ain't blessings because you pull up at a building, you go make contact at the front door, they give you a map to tell you, oh, you got to go lower whacker is where our dock is. GPS don't work,
I
you
used to work
know.
down there at that time. Yeah.
Until I learned, like where these buildings was, lower whacker was like, working the downtown area. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it at all. By the time I'd get to the dock, I'd have to wait on maintenance to come and get the freight elevator for me and ride me up and stand there while I unloaded. And then when I got ready to leave, they didn't want us using the passenger elevator. I had to call down for the maintenance guy to come back up. So, a normal 35-minute delivery was now taking damn near an hour. And the first time they gave us the downtown area and I said, time frames, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that was going to be, something I needed to add in.
Yeah, elevator
You
buildings
know,
take longer than walk ups or
you
houses.
know,
Yeah, you should
those
know that.
elevator buildings, those elevator buildings are not worth it.
Yeah, because you got
You
to
know,
touch the stuff twice. You got to unload it from the truck to the elevator, and then from the elevator to the unit, and then vice versa. If you're taking it out from the apartment to the elevator, go down 50 flights, take it off the elevator, and you might have to walk it 2 blocks, depending on where the elevator is to where the dock is to the
exactly.
truck. Yeah.
You sent us to go do a move one day like that. We
Mm-hmm.
literally had to take down one elevator, get off, transfer everything to another elevator to go
That's
down further, and
presidential
then turn
towers.
around and walk damn near a block and a half with the shit.
Yeah, that's
And then
presidential towers.
the customer wanted to argue with me like, why is this taking so long? I'm like, are you serious right now? I'm like,
Yeah,
you just better have that check to pay this bill to this man.
yeah, yep. That's presidential towers. Yep, yep. So,
You know,
you took the downtown route, and apparently you obviously didn't like it too much.
did not like it at all. Between downtown and all of the north side, 9 out of 10 of the deliveries were always third floor. Now, even though I had to drive 50 miles, when I pulled up and backed into someone's driveway, it was hands on the box, off the truck, straight
Straight
through the
into the
front
unit.
door to the
Mm-hmm.
nursery. Point blank simple.
Mm-hmm.
Every house that we delivered to out in the suburbs, they weren't apartments, they were homes. That north side stuff, like I said, people think, oh man, I'll be home early. I'm only going right here. No,
Mm-hmm.
you're not. You're gonna have to fight to get up 3 flights of stairs, and then you gotta bring all your garbage back down 3 flights of stairs.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pain in the ass. It
Okay.
was now the biggest pain in the ass was like I'd go out, do 10 jobs. Now I got all these boxes on the back of my goddamn truck,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, where the hell am I gonna dump them? For a while, I was putting them right behind my house just before garbage pickup, and the garbage man would take them, and I'd get slide out the back and hand them $50. But then that shit changed up. They didn't want to do it no more. So there
Mm-hmm.
was an abandoned house on my block that they were getting ready to tear down.
Oh
And
man,
I was out
don't
there
don't don't
talking to
don't
the
don't don't
guy.
no don't say it.
Wait a minute.
Don't
I
say
got permission though. Hang on, I got permission. The guy that was tearing down the house, he was like, yeah, we're gonna tear it down in the next month. And I was like, okay. He's like, if you want, you can put them boxes in here. I, I had the whole house loaded. All 3 bedrooms, the kitchen, the living room. And I just kept putting all my trash. And my wife's like, well, what does Mark do? I'm like, Mark pays for a goddamn dumpster.
I had like
I'm like,
three
I don't get,
dumpsters.
you
At the
know. So,
recyclable
you
10 yarder, had a garbage
when
10 yarder, and a yeah.
when I made my 250 that first year,
Mm-hmm.
I cut all the fat off the bone. There was a lot of shit that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
do that you were doing. I didn't pay for a dumpster. I did not take out, have to pay taxes and all that shit because I paid cash. you know. So it was a lot of fat drawn, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Now I didn't go fly dump those boxes. Everywhere I put those boxes, I either had permission or I was paying off the garbage man. If I seen the garbage man early in the morning, I'd pull up on him, like, man, go ahead, take this $50, bro, and run these in the back of your truck real quick.
But you running
And
5 trucks, that's a lot of trash for a 1 week dump.
man, who are you telling?
Cause my recyclable containers a 10 yarder, and
Right,
Republic
we had
Service is
that
coming
thing.
out two times a week to
Right,
dump
because we
to
would have that thing as soon as they emptied it. As soon as they emptied it, we had them dumpsters filled right back up. We had them filled up to the point where there was shit all on the side of them. And
yeah.
I'm like, damn, I got to figure this one out. So then started taking them back to Bye Bye Baby. I leave the boxes on the truck in the morning. When I went back to Bye Bye Baby, I'd unload the boxes and I put them in their dumpsters. And we got permission from the manager to do this. Because I had explained to the manager, like, man, I'm having an issue. And they were like,
Mm-hmm.
what's the problem? I'm like, all these damn boxes.
Mm.
Because for a while there, they didn't want to take dressers out of boxes. They wanted us to take the dresser with the box. And I'm like, no, that's more garbage I got to take. Plus, I can't see the dresser to make sure it's not damaged. And
Right.
they used to think that I was being extremely anal
Mm-hmm.
because I'd look at a dresser and I'd be like, hey, look at this, look at this. Oh, the customer ain't gonna see that. Yeah, but I'm gonna point it out.
Yeah.
And
Each.
they used to get mad, and I used to tell them, "You charging $800-900 for a dresser, and I done scratched one of your dressers before, and I done had to buy it. So if Select charged me, full retail price of the dresser, guess what? I'm not letting you guys get away with shit because these customers are paying good money.
Yeah, those
Send
Bye
them
Bye
back
Baby
to the
customers are anal, but they have a right to be
no,
anal because Bye Bye Baby, that shit ain't cheap. And
hell
you're
no.
you're dealing with a specific consumer. A person that buys Bye Bye Baby is not the person who goes to Walmart or Kids R Us or whatever some of these other more economy stores are, and buy their cribs. Like these people are spending money. So they're kind of anal, you know what I'm saying? But they have a right to be because they spend a lot of money. Now I know at that time, a few of those bye it was, the store managers varied depending on each store. I think the guy in Orland or Schaumburg One of those managers was real anal. I remember back, and I don't think it was the one on North Avenue. I think it was the one in New
No,
Orleans or
the
something.
people on North Avenue were cool as hell with us.
Yeah, North Avenue
We
was
had
cool.
we had a very good rapport with them.
Hmm.
Dude out in Orland, it was this white guy that had that whole I'm the head nigga in charge mentality. And when we'd go into the store, he always had issues. Always had an issue, oh, you guys were late. Late? What do
Yeah,
you
I
mean?
remember.
Oh, our docks open up at 7:30. Oh, well, shit, you're early. Because we don't start till 8 o'clock. And we
Right.
got to drive out here. And, that was one of the issues. He was trying to get us to show up early because he said we were interrupting his employees from the time that we would arrive because now they got to deal with us. And
Mm.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, call select and complain, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, he was the anal individual out that way.
So let's talk about you're running 5 trucks now. Seems like everything is going good. You're running 5 trucks consistently. Let's talk about because I know we only got you for a short period of time. There's a few more topics I want to cover. Let's talk
Oh, go ahead.
about 'cause I know it happens, and I'm pretty sure it happened to you. When did you see things start clashing between you and the people you were working for? I know it had to happen at some point. It's inevitable.
When it started to clash was after a big move. And I took 5 people with me to go do this move because we literally needed two 16-foot box trucks. And they got to talking amongst each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mike came to me, pulled me to the side. He's like, "Hey, Rob." I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He's like, "I think we got mutiny going on." And I'm like, "What you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, they're over there and they freaking out because due to the fact you got 5 of us out here, I told the lady she had to pay $2.50 an hour because she
Mm-hmm.
wanted us to try to hurry up. But she used to have like a storefront and she had all her supplies in the goddamn basement.
Okay.
So it was one truck just full of boxes with all the shit she used to sell at the store.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay. So the next day, when everybody showed up, I took her check, went to the bank, cashed it, came back to pay everybody, and motherfuckers was like, "Oh man, all I get is 200." I'm like, before we even went to go do the move, we agreed on this.
What were you paying them per hour?
It was a flat rate. I did not
Mm.
pay hourly whatsoever.
Flat rate
Everything
for
that was
what? For the
done,
move? 150 still?
two, $200.
Oh, 200. Okay, okay, okay.
I
So
told him if the move lasts us 5 hours, you got 200. If it lasts us 12 hours, you got
wait,
200.
wait, wait.
No problem.
Hold on, hold on. You said I was rough.
At this point, Mark, honestly, you know, I it wasn't that we was clashing, but these grown ass men started coming to work on their periods. Now, even though I pay them $200 a flat rate, I would turn around and if they act right, you get right. I'd hit them with an extra 50. Or if they needed to borrow money, which that was a common thing with some of them, man, can I borrow some money? It's coming out your check. How much you want? So when you get your check, don't be looking stupid. And I'd front them the money up front. And when they came time on Friday, when it was payday, their check would be short whatever they borrowed. If we were all on a job, I'd buy lunch. I'd buy everybody something to drink. I'd buy a pack of cigarettes for each truck. And my thing was, y'all a bunch of grown ass men. You get paid on Friday, you come to work Monday, you broke. Why? Oh,
You
my
should.
girl, we had bills. I've been in your house. I done seen the eviction notice on the door, so I know you ain't paying rent. So how the hell you got bills to pay?
Man, you know where that
Yeah.
money going. You used to
And
see them. They come to work for me broke on Monday. So
these guys just started counting the pocket,
hmm
you know. And I'm explaining to them like, I got paid insurance on the truck, you know. I gotta put the gas in the truck. Are you gonna put the gas? If you're gonna put the gas, I'll pay you more. And then everybody gets quiet then. But kept having to deal with different attitudes, you know. And it was a situation where I was like, shit. This is like when I was growing up. My three sisters in the house, and then my two cousins came to live with us, and they was female, and my mom, that was like six motherfucking females, and each one of them had an attitude for no fucking reason. And
hmm
that's how these guys started coming to work. Laval, he come out one day. I hand him his route. He, I'm like, what the fuck, man? I ain't feeling this. Excuse me? He's like, I ain't feeling it. I didn't even want to ask him why. I reached over politely, grabbed the route out of his hand, walked in the house. I put on that blue shirt that I bought from you with my name on it for $10 and jumped my fat ass in the truck and went to go do what I had to do.
you know,
Now, meanwhile,
you used to carry Lavelle when you referred Lavelle and he worked for me. When you referred him, you carried him when he worked for me.
yep.
You carried him. So
And you wanna know what's fucked up about that, Mark? He was living with his sister in the fucking basement. Okay? I tell my wife, here, go to the bank, take out this much money. I gotta pay this person, this person, this person.
mm,
Now she done took his sister Marlo with her to the bank to get this money. She come back home, give me the money. I give Lavelle his check. He turn around, look his sister in the face, talking about, oh well, you know, he told me he got me next week. He didn't give me all my money, and I didn't know none of this was going on. And then Marlo mentioned it to my wife, and my wife looked her in the face and was like, no, he fucking lying. So Marlo approached me. And
mhm.
Marlo asked me, do you owe Lavelle money? I said, hell no, I've paid him all his checks.
Wait,
What are you talking?
somebody Lavelle's sister.
Yeah, look, Lavelle was staying with his sister. He didn't
She
have his own
approached
place
you asking you about his money. See,
because
this that ghetto ass shit.
but wait a minute, check this out. That was because he owed her rent money and was telling her that I wasn't paying him. And when she approached me, she just asked me, have you been paying Lavelle? That's all she asked. And
I
I'm like,
forgot
hell
y'all live
yeah.
on the same block, so it's kind of different from my structure.
And he approached me after the fact. Man, don't be telling her my business. Why the fuck are you telling her that I'm not paying you? I'm like, what is wrong with you? And it was ironic because after he stopped working for me, I
Mhm.
get my ass up. Mike be outside waiting on me. We get in the truck. We start the truck up. He's standing outside with that blue shirt with his name on it that he paid $10 from you. And he had a little weed blower. And he's sitting out there blowing the sidewalk and just. And I asked Mike, like, what the fuck is he doing? He's like, man, I don't know what he doing. He's like, he ain't trying to work. I'm like, okay. And he wasn't trying to work. He ended up going down to St. Louis, went into a shelter, and then got a job at a restaurant as a dishwasher, and got him a little studio. He was on Facebook, and I used to follow him. I was his friend, and he putting all these little messages on Facebook. Man, you think people in your corner and they don't try to help you, trying to make it sound like. And I got on this Facebook like, dude, stop lying. And, he
So
called me up and was like, man, stay off my page. And I'm like, boy, you out here lying. I'm
So
like, you had a job.
so at what point did you realize the way I carried myself and how hard I was, and I guess how tough I was, and how direct I was? At what point? Because like the people that were working for you, you had more of a personal relationship with them. See, I didn't have a personal relationship with nobody, and
Right.
I made it. And I made it, and I didn't want to have a personal relationship with nobody. You know what I'm saying? At what point did you realize that the asshole that you thought I really wasn't an asshole?
About 6 months in.
Okay.
6 months, that's when these guys started, you know, showing they little bullshit ass attitudes. 6 months in is when I had to start changing up the way I was dealing with people. Now, all of them didn't do me like that, but the majority that did do me like that, I'm like, all right, I'm like, y'all want to play. So, one thing I learned when a motherfucker play games, and I learned this from you, motherfucker play games,
You
the
play with
best
their
thing you
money.
can do, play with their money. Kick them in the ass where the wallet is. Tell them, oh, yeah, I'll need you tomorrow or the day after. I ain't got no work.
Give them a week to
And I
think about
started,
it.
and I started doing that. And then motherfuckers started freaking out. And I'm like, all right, you get that shit out your system. All right, cool. You get back on the truck. And I let their ass get back on the truck. And then when they get to acting up again, the first time it'd be 2 days off. So now they went from a motherfucking uh 5, 6, 7. It went from a $750 check down to a $500 check. Then the next time they get 4 days off. And I wouldn't do it right then and there. If you pissed me off on the 15th, I was gonna fuck with your ass just before the first when I knew rent was due.
Mm.
You wanna play with me? I'm gonna show you I can play back. And you ain't gonna like the way I play. And my wife's like, yo, that's really mean of you. They got rent to pay. I'm like, that was mean of them for the bullshit they pulled. And
It's
she's
not
like,
per.
you're
It's not
becoming,
personal.
she was like, you're becoming an asshole. And I'm like, no, not yet. And, she just,
You should have
whatever.
told. You should have told you learn from the best.
All bullshit aside, I used to think like, damn, this motherfucker just mean for no fucking reason. And after dealing with people, I figured that shit out.
Let me ask you this, because this is something I talk about all the time: is market. Now we're from Chicago.
Right.
Do you think the mindset of the people that you had to deal with, I have to deal with in this particular business, because you know what type of people you have to deal with as far as employment, whenever it's like heavy lifting stuff like that, right? Do
Right.
you think mindset plays a big role on the type of people you had to deal with? I've had to deal with over time versus if we were in another market, because Chicago is just like the mindset here is just like it's crab in a barrel. You're not dealing with people with business minds. So even if you try to explain to them certain things, they not gonna get it because their mentality is of a street mentality. They don't know how to turn that street mentality on. Not everybody is gifted to know how to turn the street mentality on and turn it off. So do you think that Chicago mentality plays a big role on dealing with people like employees here? Did you think that, or it's that ghetto mentality? What's your thoughts around that?
Chicago's different from a lot of other places.
Mm-hmm.
One thing about Chicago, like you said last time, you ain't gonna get no motherfucker with no college degree that, oh, yeah, you want me to lift heavy shit for 12 hours a day? No problem. Yeah, yeah, I'll come to work. You ain't gonna get that bullshit. That ain't happening. And To be honest with you, the mindset in Chicago, in my personal opinion, what I've learned from is it is much easier to hire a motherfucker that nobody else will hire. And as long as his paycheck's there every week, and you just let, like with Mike, I used to tell Mike, like, all right, now we're going to, stand in front of these motherfucking white people. Might have to take our shoes off. Make sure your feet don't stink. Make sure you got on clean socks, and make sure you ain't cussing, and we respectful. And I only had to tell Mike that one time. And Mike is, Mike been to the joint for kicking in the gym room door at a high school when he was in high school, shooting at motherfuckers with a shotgun. Mike was like motherfucking leader of the Vice Lords over in Holy City. His father was a big time Vice Lord. So was Lavelle. But Mike showed me 200% loyalty, even to this day. I call Mike up right now on the phone like, man, Mike, I'm in a jam. I need your help. He ain't going to say, what's wrong? He's going to say, where you at? I'll be there in a minute. Some try to act like they was tough. Now, when Lavelle fucked up with me, I ended up hiring his sister's baby daddy, this dude named Fred, who was also from Holy City. Fred was like 6'4", 380 pounds. Fred called me up one day. This was after the business been shut down. Man, big homie, my girl got locked up. I need to borrow $1,000. You want a Cash App or Western Union? And I sent it to him. And I could call Fred any day of the week with the same thing. And Fred had that same, street mentality. But due to the fact that I did them right, they showed me loyalty. And the only thing I asked them is like, man, look, I don't need to leave up out this white people's house. And these white people call talking about this wetback and this nigga was in here acting up. And never had an issue. That's one thing I can say. The guys that work for me, all the bullshit ass attitudes they showed them to me. They didn't go out there to the customer. The only person that did that was my own fucking race. And that was a little fucking Mexican David.
What did he do?
That lady, they go pick up this 300
couch?
pound fucking.
Yeah,
Yep.
you talked about that.
He picked up this couch, and the lady was like, her dad was actually a mover. It had a moving company. But her dad couldn't go pick the couch up for her. And she was like, man, it'd be way easier if you guys took it up front. Oh, don't tell me my job.
That's what David said?
Yeah. And then, she was like, and then on top of it, she's like, he come in my house and he smelled like weed.
Yeah.
He had a fucking bag of weed in his pocket.
What was David? He was like he was something. Where is he?
He was a fucking idiot.
Oh. Yeah, because he carried himself. He had a real arrogant attitude. I didn't never see it.
He was Mexican.
Yeah, I know he was Mexican, but
he was one of those Spanish disciples.
Yeah, he was a Spanish disciple, right? Yeah,
he was. By me being an old land king, he used to like talk shit, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, David, no problem, don't worry about it. He called me up, hey, what time to be at work tomorrow? Man, Select didn't send over no work. I gotta call them in the morning and find out what's going on. I'll call you and let you know. Out of all the people I had to do that to, he got done the most with that.
Yeah. So at what point did you start leaning on these guys? You had to shift your attitude because, like I said, you were personal with a lot of these guys. Even David, you knew David from when y'all was all working for me. You know what I'm saying? Right. I forgot why I got rid of David. But David just had, like, it was, I
He
don't
just had
remember
a
why I
fucked
got
up
rid of it.
attitude.
Yeah, and then he was just always late. He smelled like weed, and then he worked for me for a short period of time. And I know everybody was making money. He was making good money. He was young. He went out and bought a brand new car. I remember he went
Yep.
out and bought a brand new car. I'm like, bro, you only been working for me like for a month or two. The money is good, but I don't know how long you gonna be here. I might get rid. He went out and bought like a brand new Maxima, and I remember
Yep.
everybody was clowning him or some shit. But when did your attitude shift? Because I know it had to shift at some point from being personable to start like really leaning on these guys. And playing with somebody's money, you gotta you can't be no hoe when you playing with money. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's money. So when did it get to that point? And I know you had to turn cold. Did you see other people starting to shift away from you too when you started to shift from them?
When the ones I started, where I had to start acting like that with, you know what I'm saying? It was just a few. It was this one young black guy that used to work for you. I can't think of his name. Clean cut, real handsome young man. He had a brother. He stopped working for you. I don't know why. Then he started working with me. And then I hired his brother. And I'm sitting out there, and I kept telling him, like, bro, check your brother. He's just, doing stupid shit. He's like,
Mm-hmm.
I got him, Rob. I got him. So he pulls up in the yard one day. I call him like, man, where you guys at? Oh, we just got off the E-way. We'll be there in a minute. So I'm walk up. I'm standing on the corner of 75th so I can let them in the little bullshit gate we got.
Mm-hmm.
And they pull up. They drive right past me, and the back of the door open. And I'm like, I know goddamn well y'all ain't drove all the way over here with that back open like that.
You would let them
You
keep your
know?
trucks overnight?
No, no. They were finishing up their route and they drove
Okay.
back.
Okay.
And they were like, oh, damn, I must have forgot to lock it. So now I'm looking on the truck and I'm like, where the four-wheel dolly at? And, these weren't the cheap Home Depot ones. These were the
Chicago,
thick ones.
Chicago
You
cop
know,
ones. Yeah.
I done snagged a couple of them from Bye Bye Baby. These was the expensive ones.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, you done lost the dolly. And, they thought, oh, okay, big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Roll of shrink wrap done rolled out the truck, and I put a brand new roll on the truck,
Mm-hmm.
and had, what is it, $55 for a box of four. The shit wasn't cheap, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. And before I fired David, I told him and his brother, like, man, y'all fucking up. I jump in the truck to take him home. I'm like, what the fuck took you so long? I'm ready to go to bed. Oh, I stopped to give me something to eat. This motherfucker stopped at Harold's. I'm like, move, I'm driving. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I pull my hands back. I got barbecue sauce all over my motherfucking hands. That was the straw that broke the back. And I cussed his ass out like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? I'm like, you have no respect for the truck. I tell you to do things a certain way. You want to do them your way. I said, I'll tell you what, since you feel you know more than I do at this point, go ahead, go get your truck and go get your contract. But I don't need you no more. And he went, his brother came back, worked the next day. Oh, you was bogus. I'm
Mm.
like, look, he got fired. You didn't get fired. Oh, but that's bullshit, and then he started getting loud. So I was like, we can take this shit in the yard because technically your ass is fired too. And then a couple days later, Dave come, popping up late. Man, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. Oh, Poppy, you know how we get down. You're fired too, motherfucker. And take the Mexican you bring with you, both of you, out of here. So I went from having all six trucks running
Mm-hmm.
and broke that shit down. We were down to three. But it was still good money coming in. I wasn't tripping.
Mm-hmm.
Any moves I had, I scheduled them on the days that we were off. And they loved doing moves because they was like, man, these people tip good. And, when they try to give me a tip, I would take it and then I'd give it to the guys and let them split it amongst each other. So, they always look forward, especially Mike and Fred. They was always looking forward to a move. Then Mike ends up going to jail for a domestic.
Mm.
I bail him out. He out 2 days. Ain't supposed to be around his baby mama. And he go right back to jail again. And I'm like, Mike, you gonna have to sit in there about a week till I get this money up again. So the other guys that was running the other truck,
Mm-hmm.
I go on the truck. They open beer bottles. I'm like, this shit getting out of hand. Fred's like, man, kind of like a stack situation. He's like, you want me to talk to him? He wasn't gonna whoop on him. He was literally gonna talk to him. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I called Select, told Select, hey, look, you can cut back on some of these jobs. You know, give me 15 a day. And I told Fred, look, me and you go out there and work. I'll take on 15 fucking jobs. It's gonna be late nights. You down? And he was like, hell yeah. So I broke that shit all the way back down to one truck. Had all the other trucks still parked. Kept running for a while, just me and Fred. Gathered all my money back together. And I used to tell Fred, like, one thing I learned, if you want something done, sometimes you got to do it your motherfucking self. And started building back up slowly. The two brothers I fired, I'm sitting there. I end up hiring my wife's sister's son and sent him with Mike after I got the money and I bailed Mike back out.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained to Mike, like, man, by you going back to jail, you costed me that grand I put up. They're not giving that back because you violated your terms of being out on bail.
Right.
I'm like, so now you're 2 grand in the hole with me.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was like, man, I'll work it off. I'm like, don't worry about it. Just come to work. So now I'm back to 2 trucks running. Me and Fred, Mike and my wife's little nephew.
Mm-hmm.
So doing good. That year, I ended up making 240, like 47,000, almost 250. It
This
might
is
have been.
all since we've been talking. This is all the first year.
This is just the first fucking year, Mark. All
Okay.
this bullshit just popped off the first year. The second year, all I ran was 3 trucks, and I still pulled off 200.
Mm-hmm.
Between moves and fucking with Select, because at this point Select picked up Dick's Sporting Goods. So what me and Fred would do, we'd go out, we install the basketball hoops, dig the hole in the ground, pour the concrete, set the anchors, come back, 2 days later after the concrete cured, and
Curious.
put up
Mm-hmm.
the hoop. And we was getting $600 a hoop.
Mm-hmm.
So it would literally take us 3 days to complete one job. One day to dig the hole, lay the concrete, and then we had to wait for the concrete to set and then come back and finish it off. Well, in one day, we'd go out and we dig like 10 holes and set everything up. So that third day, we go out, we put up 5, then the next day we go out and put up another 5. So we was making good money between the two
Wait, you
days
was digging.
waiting
You
for
was
the
digging 10 holes a day.
10 holes a day. I went out there, I got a post hole digger, and we grab hold of it, and we just, ram it down one time, pull it out, move it over, ram it down, and then I take a spade shovel or a shooter shovel, and I square the hole off. We fill it up with
Yeah.
concrete, and kept it moving.
I stopped doing it because I remember I sent the crew. They ran into a dig where we had to go to Home Depot and rent one of the power ones because it was the vines from the tree right where they wanted the rim. There was a tree nearby, probably 100-year-old tree or whatever, and those roots down in the
Right.
ground. Couldn't dig it with the post hole digger. We had to go get one
No,
of them
no, no,
big
no.
power.
We had the electric one.
Okay.
where it had it had like uh a white a triangle shaped handle.
Mm-hmm.
I'd grab one side, Fred grabbed the other, and we pushed that fucker down, and the blade on it was sharpened all the way. So if it was anything, any branches and shit, it automatically cut them and go right through them.
Yeah, we dug one up, man. It was concrete down there. I guess from when they did construction on the house, it was all type of shit down there. What'd y'all do for like the 72-inch backboards? Because those take like 4 people to put up.
Shit, Fred was big. Fred was big as hell.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't need 4 people. Between me and Fred, we put the post up first. And then
Mm-hmm.
I had a big ass step ladder, 2 of them, and then we climb up, and Fred would hold the back piece, and I get on the back end, and I start bolting shit down, one by one.
So he would hold up, because the 52 inches, the 60 is okay. Once you get over 60, those 72-inch glass back, the 72 inches to hold it up there, why that thing is heavy, man.
Fred was man. Look, when I tell you Fred was big, Fred was big. Fred was huge. He was about as tall as Stacks, but when he got out the joint, like he was no little motherfucker. Fred was not little at all.
So
When
so
I
y'all,
first met Fred, when I
mhm.
first met Fred, Lavelle was like, "Man, fuck with him." And I was standing out near my car, and he's like, "Oh, to beat your ass." And I opened my trunk and pulled out a big ass machete, and I was like, "You got to bring some ass to get some ass. Now, come on." And he's like, "No, no, no, I'm just fucking with you." And shit, me and Fred been tight ever since. Fred ain't no little boy. Fred a big grown ass man,
Mhm.
a
so y-
big man.
so y'all was doing digging holes, and
We
this
was
is the
digging a hole. We was
uh-huh.
doing the treadmills, the ellipticals. I ain't never did none of that shit a day in my life, Mark. And what I did was for the treadmill, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and I looked at the different brands they had. And then I found out what brand, the customer ordered the night before. And I'd go on YouTube and I'd pull it up. And as soon as I pulled it up, it gave me let's see, it gave me the instructions on how to put shit together. A lot of this shit that I did, I made sure that before I went out there to go do anything, that I had a general idea on how shit went together.
Mhm.
I did not, one thing I wasn't gonna do, I wasn't gonna go out there and make myself look like an idiot. I refused to do that. I did all the research I had to do. I sent Fred the night before. Once I saw the video, I shoot it over to him and share it with him.
Mhm.
And like, man, watch this video. I'm like, because this is what we're gonna be doing tomorrow. And shit,
S-
everything I've been blessed. Shit
s-
worked out.
so at some point going into that fourth year, because you lasted what 3 or 4 years, right?
About 3.5 years.
Three, because at some point you downsized, and then you ended up coming back and working for me for a short stint, right?
Yep.
Right, because you
I had
you were
got
doing
rid.
not you were doing nonstop, right? For me, right?
Yep.
Okay. So walk me through, because I know you gotta go. So I want to hit 2 more points. Walk me through your mind frame, the decision when it came to, you know what, I want to exit out. Did you set an exit out time frame? Was it abrupt? What was the? I know you said something with your back.
When the last thing I did was move that heavy ass couch. And when I moved that heavy ass couch, I told Fred, like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit no more. You know? And we kept working. Fred
Mhm.
thought I was on some bullshit because in the process of moving that couch, I heard, something in my back snap. And I'm like, damn, you know, it hurt it, but it didn't hurt that bad.
Mhm.
And then like a couple days later, the pain just kept getting worse and worse. I took my ass to the doctor and they got to taking x-rays. And the doctor was like, yeah, I don't think you should do this. So I
Mm.
kind of told Fred, like, man, I can't do it no more, Fred. I'm like, if somebody calls for a move, but look, see, Mark, these were the videos
Mhm.
of the different shit we were putting together for Dick Sporting Goods.
Mhm.
You could damn near find anything you want on YouTube these days,
But
and
that
it
was
made a
back
big
then though.
difference. Anybody going out here doing something, especially if they got a contract with like Dick's or something,
Mhm.
and they know they're gonna be delivering and they ain't never delivered it. You
Mhm.
know, it it's a fearful thought of delivering something you ain't never and having to put together and you ain't never put together
Mhm.
unless you're mechanically inclined. And what I did was I just looked up these videos. And like with these treadmills are heavy as hell. And if you ain't got somebody strong enough that could walk at the full length without talking about put it down, you know, eh, Fred didn't come to work one day and I had to take Mike's little skinny butt with me. And we had to do 3 treadmills.
Mhm.
So I knew it was going to be a situation where he was going to tell me, man, Rob, we got to put it down for a minute. So I laid moving blankets from the front door all the way to where this damn treadmill was going.
Y'all slid
So
it.
when we put it down, we put it down on a blanket, and I didn't have to worry about scratching nobody's floor.
Mhm. So you exit out. You tell Fred you can't do it no more. What you call select? You talk to Mike Cohen. You talk to Amory Sanchez. Like, what do you say? I'm done, or how does that go?
Told them that the truck was broke down beyond repair, and as soon as I got another truck, I'd give them a call, and I left it at that.
Why you just didn't tell him you done? Why you just to say
Man,
I'm
I
done,
left it at
man?
that because honestly, Mark, I was still on the fence line. My back was killing me, and I was like, all right, maybe the pain go away. I just hurt myself. But shit, that pain ain't gone away. I've been driving around all day since about 10 o'clock this morning doing Lyft and Uber, and my motherfucking sciatic nerve is killing the fuck out of me right
So let me ask you this: if because you didn't tell me this, I remember. I don't remember. I remember you came back after your tenure of doing your own thing, and you worked for me for a little while. I don't remember how long, but I do remember you came back. I don't I don't recall you telling me your back was messed up. So what happened from the moment you left because your back and the deciding factor, man, let me call Mark and see if I can come back and work for Mark.
now. When I came back, I needed to go to work. I caught a case,
Mm-hmm.
and they wanted me to have a job, and my back was hurting. But when I came to you, I came with my boy Jay, if you remember.
I don't
And Jay
remember.
was good.
Mm-hmm.
The guy we sold the bedroom set to, my buddy. He worked
Hey
with me.
Rod, hey Rod, I probably hired over 1,000 people. I'd be people
Well,
coming up to me. I
anyways,
don't be okay. I
Jay
don't be
stood
remembering.
6'4". And you know what?
Okay.
Jay told me to tell you, and I never did get a chance to tell you, thank you for
Mm-hmm.
selling him that bedroom set. Because it was you were delivering for Wayfair. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't get these I don't get some of these places like, the customer don't want it and we bring it back to the warehouse and they tell you destroy it or keep it, your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you sold them the bedroom set for I think it was like 400 or five, I think. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And his girl, when we went and we set everything up, his girl opened the drawer and the name of the company that made the dresser was on the inside. So
Mm-hmm.
she looked it up and it was like
That's a six
damn
thousand
near an
dollar
eight
set.
thousand dollar bedroom set.
Yeah.
You know, the
I,
nightstand alone was like 2,500 type shit.
yeah. I just
You
wanted it
know,
out the
and
warehouse.
Jay couldn't believe, Jay couldn't believe that, you know,
I
he
sold it
got
to
that. He
that
got
cheap.
that. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted it out the warehouse, man. I would have
all
so
bullshit
much
aside,
stuff in the warehouse. I just wanted shit out.
that's that's a good come up. That's a
Oh
damn
yeah.
good come up. You know,
Yeah.
if a motherfucker got a warehouse where they could deliver shit and, you know, a customer says, no, I don't want that. You know, I changed my mind.
Hmm.
A lot of times they ain't coming back to get it.
Hmm.
You know,
No, you tell
all
them
the
it's
shit
all
we had in
good.
the
It ain't.
warehouse, you could open up a storefront.
Yeah, you can tell them it's all good. It wasn't nothing. So, I'm glad they enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to break people's pockets. I would just need shit moved out the way. So, I mean, if he worked for me,
Shit,
then,
I still got that mattress I bought from you. That motherfucker, the best thing going.
Oh, okay.
It was like a $2,500 mattress.
Yeah, I don't even remember that. I don't like I don't be remembering like so much. And see, you probably realized that too once you got up to 6 trucks. Uh like your mind probably was all over the place. You just always had stuff going on. So now you can see where my like I don't remember Jay. I kind of remember the bedroom set. I don't remember Jay. People be coming up to me like, man, Mark, you don't know me. I used to work for you. Like, my mind during that time of 30, 35 people, 15 trucks, my mind was always just had a lot of stuff going on at the time. So, yeah, it'd be hard for me to kind of remember. So, you ended up coming back working for me. And you had, I guess, what's his name? Jay. He was working with you
Yeah,
for me. I don't remember him.
yeah.
But what did I have you guys doing? Did you tell me your back was messed up, or you didn't tell
I
me?
didn't tell you my back was messed up because at that point, I think I was like about 7, 8 months off the truck. And at that point,
Okay.
my back really wasn't hurting. The only time it
Mhm.
would hurt is like it is today. Like it rained. That's why
Mhm.
my sciatic nerve is acting up. You
Okay.
know, it's one of them situations that every time the barometric pressure go up, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be in pain. You know, so when I came to work for you, it I had back issues. You know, I get on a truck, I put on the goddamn, you know, little safety belt all the way around my waist, make sure it was nice and tight before I moved anything.
Mhm.
And shit, you know, motherfucker just had to get a job at that particular point.
Mhm.
You
Was
know,
you
I
on the? Was
appreciate
you?
you hiring me back.
No, it's all good. I ain't tripping. Was you on the truck that day when I hired my cousin, one of my cousins, and he rear-ended a car and kept going or something?
Oh no.
Okay,
I
okay.
wasn't
I
around
just
for that one.
I just wanted to know the truth on what happened with that. I was gonna see if that was you. I can't remember who was on the truck.
No, that
But
wasn't me.
it wasn't you. All right.
So,
What were you gonna say?
uh, you know, along with doing this, you know, people that are gonna kick this off, if they do get into the moving aspect of it, you know, put your fillers out there for out of town moves. You know, out of town moves is big money, but you can't bullshit. You get where you're going, get that shit off the truck, and get right back on the road and come home.
What was the
You know, like
farthest? What
when,
was the biggest out of
when
town move I sent you on? Go ahead. Go ahead. Say what you gonna say, and then I ask you that question.
Naples, that's what I was getting ready to say. You sent
Okay.
us to Naples. It was that lady that lived up north. She owned a art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot dude's name.
Divine.
Light skinned
Divine.
brother,
Divine.
Devon. Me and Devon went up there. We wrapped up all her paintings. We went up there with a car trailer. We put her car on the back of the goddamn
26 footer.
truck.
Y'all was in a 26 footer, right? In a car trailer, right?
Yep. And we hauled ass. It was funny because Devon came, you know, I left out the house with just a change of socks and a different shirt. That's it.
Right.
And he's like, "Where your bag?" I'm like, "It's right here." And
Mm.
my man had a big ass duffel bag. I'm like, "What the fuck you got in there?" He's like, "We're going to Florida," and I didn't want to break his heart. because I didn't want him saying he didn't want to get out of the truck. I'm like, oh yeah, you right. Come on. He got on the truck. We drove straight. I drove the majority of the way to Naples. He drove the last 3 hours while I slept. And then when we got there, we unloaded. And by the time we was done, it was about 11 o'clock at night. The lady bought us a big ass pizza, broke us off $100 tip each. We got in the truck. He thinking we going to a hotel. And I had to look your boy in the face and say, no, we getting on I-95 and we headed our ass back to
Yeah,
Chicago.
because I remember coming to the yard one morning. Because see, y'all didn't tell me that, and for some reason, I was upset. I was
Why?
upset about that because you know I didn't want y'all running like that. Like I had already charged the customer and included the hotel and all that stuff. So I wasn't expecting y'all to come back right away. Once y'all, I was
Oh,
already kind
hell
of
no.
leery that y'all got there so damn quick. And then when y'all, I knew the move was done because y'all had to call into the office and total it out, and we had to do the charge over the phone or however we did it. But I didn't know y'all was coming right back. At that point, once the money was done, I'm like, all right, well, shit. Whenever they get back in another 2 days or whatever, when they come back, I come to the yard. The truck is parked. I'm what the hell? Like, and he told me y'all drove there, unloaded, and turned around and drove straight back. I'm like, why? Cause see, I don't want nobody fatigued. I know that
Oh,
drive from
I
Florida
wasn't
back to
fatigued.
Chicago.
Those 3 hours of sleep, I drove on the way back. I drove about 5 hours and I told Devon, go to sleep. Because when I get tired, you driving. He fell his ass to sleep. I let him sleep for about 5 good hours. I woke him up and I told him, all right, your turn. Wake me up when you get tired. And I took my ass straight to sleep. And by the time we got to the mountains, he woke me up. And I'm like, you tired? He's like, no, I just want you to talk to me while I'm driving through these mountains. I was like, all right, just, take it slow. We ain't got to go fast. We
Mm-hmm.
done working. Ain't shit on the truck.
Where y'all in Tennessee?
Yup. Coming
Probably
through
on
them damn
24.
mountains.
On 24, probably.
You
Yeah.
know? But
Mm-hmm.
shit, my thing was like, shit, you know, the quicker we get it done and the quicker we get it back, I could sleep in my own bed. I wasn't trying to stay in no hotel.
So y'all did that run in, was it a 2 day run or y'all did it in 2 days, right?
We did that run in a
Because
total of like
it was a
32
22-hour
hours.
drive. Wait,
It wasn't a
32 hours?
22-hour drive. It was like a 16-hour drive, I think. We did that. We did that. No, it wasn't even 16. I don't even think it was 16 hours. I think it was like, I don't know, but I know we came right back.
Yeah, I
We
know, because
came right the fuck back.
I saw the truck in the yard. I'm like, how the hell? But yeah, so you came back, you ended up working for me, but I think that was in your first stint working for me when y'all went to Naples. But yeah, long distance moves pay a lot. I don't remember what we charged that lady for that move, but how did you come out as far as what did I pay you for that job? Do you remember?
I think you gave me like 800.
For a day and a half worth of work.
Yeah.
So 800, right? Yeah, I
And I
probably charged
honestly
her like,
I felt that if I fucked around and stood out there, you know, then it wouldn't have been worth it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I brought my ass right back. I moved a lady to North Carolina, one of my neighbors that lived on the block. And I told her, go get an estimate. And when you get an estimate, call me. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to tell you how much I'll charge you. And I promise you it'll be lower than your estimate. She had a 3-bedroom house.
hold on, let me answer this question before they get misinformation. I know I haven't stopped it, but this is a question I knew somebody was going to ask because how did y'all run that job like that without, stopping? This job was a under the table job. So I'm not going to talk too much into it, but you know, every now and then you'll get a customer that needs something done right away, and there's ways around certain things. And I'm not going to talk about it because you don't need to know. That's something that experience, you know, will get you. And if you have repeated customers, they need stuff done and they're going to pay a lot of money to get it done. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you what I'm not going to sit up here and tell you things that you shouldn't do. All right. But to answer your question, no, you know, we didn't do it in one of my trucks. We rented a truck. There was no DOT tags. None of my numbers were on the truck. When no numbers on that truck, right? That was that in one of my, that
Nope.
was a
It was a rider truck.
okay. So we rented a rider because we had to tow a car. So we had to obviously rent the car trailer. So we rented the truck too. We didn't send one of my trucks. There was no tags on it. They weren't in uniforms. Because it was an expedited thing, but I still wanted them to stop. They just didn't stop. So that's how that went. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, don't
Well, you
try it
see,
at home.
now
But you
now
know,
here's the deal too. Part of the deal with this lady was she wanted us there before she made it there to put her
right,
cribs together for her babies.
right.
So
So
we had a jump start before she actually got on the plane,
so y'all
and we
moved her
made it
out.
there.
So y'all moved her out, parked the truck back at the yard, went home for a few hours, came back and picked it up that night and hit the road. Right. So this was a situation where the lady didn't want her stuff moved because she had a brand new baby. So typically for a long distance move like that, you'll move the stuff out days before they leave, and it'll be like a 15-day turnaround. You're gonna get some customers that like her that she had a brand new baby, right? If I could remember,
Yep,
right? So she
yep. She
couldn't
had got
go right. She couldn't go days without having furniture in a crib and shit like that. So the moment they loaded the truck, she took a flight the very next day, right? Y'all got
yep,
there before her, right? Or she got there
yep.
before y'all. So she wanted
Uh-uh.
them there. She wanted y'all there before her, right?
Yep, to put the cribs together.
Right. She didn't want to go without furniture because she had little kids. So it wasn't going to be no 15-day turnaround. So in order to make that work, I had to do stuff that you're not supposed to do. All right. And she paid for it. That's how I was able to pay him damn near $1,000. You know what I'm saying? And I guess I paid Devon damn near probably the same thing since y'all split the work, the driving and the load and unload. Y'all had to put them cribs together. So that was a 26 footer, right?
Yep.
So the 26 footer, two guys, and they was towing a car. Right. So I did what I had to do. Now, in business, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. If it's a $9,000-$10,000 job on the table and the customer wants it done in an expedited fashion, and long distance move is not an expedited industry. There's no such thing as a long distance expedited move. You know what I'm saying? So me being a small business owner with a lot of overhead and a lot of people to pay with a lot of taxes and a lot of unemployment insurance and a lot of Medicaid and Social Security, if I had to snatch some tags off and go rent a truck and include that into the price and run that under the radar, well, that's what I did. So there's your answer.
You know, I did a move for a lady on my block, and we went to North Carolina. I didn't have no box truck, but I went and rented one. And me and Fred did the same thing like me and Devon did. We loaded her shit, drove the fuck down there, unloaded that shit, and drove right back.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my personal opinion, any out of town moves, I would always go rent a truck. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to take none of my own trucks because I was like, shit, if it break down in the city, that's a couple $100 to get it towed. If it break down 1,000 miles from home, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I got to worry about everybody's shit on the back of that truck. At least this way, with a Penske, a Ryder, or Enterprise, if it break down, all you got to do is pick up the phone and call. They're going to send another truck out. You just got to transfer everything over to the other truck, and you
Mm-hmm.
back on your way.
Yeah.
So,
I would only send long distance moves in the radius. So Wisconsin, Minnesota. I remember I sent James to Minnesota in one of my trucks, and he damn near had a fit when he came back. You know, he was crying and shit. But anyway, yeah, local
You said
radius.
some guys. You had said some guys on an out of town move, and I think they went up towards Colorado, and they was down there bullshit.
No, it was
And what?
Dre.
What?
I sent Dre to Portland. I sent him to Portland, and he lost a damn check. The lady paid in a check. It was like 10 grand, and he lost the check, man. So I didn't get paid for that move for like a month later because she had to stop payment on the check. You know, I still paid them. You know what I'm saying? And
What?
when and he lost the damn check. He lost the check, bro. So I mean, I got paid, but he lost the check. But it was to Portland. I think they had to go through Colorado. But
Right,
anytime I
because I
sent Dre on the move, go ahead.
right because I remember we was in the office, and I think Martel was talking to him, and they was telling Martel, "Yeah, we're gonna stop off in Colorado because weed legal out here." And you was bitching like, "The hell they stopping in Colorado for? They need to bring their ass back because you
Mm-hmm.
wanted that check."
Yeah, I want that check. Like, yeah, and he messed around and lost the check, and you know I would find out later that every long distance move I sent him on, especially if it was one where we loaded it, I sent him there to kind of, and then I sent him to drive there by himself, and then hired another moving company from that local city to unload the truck. He would take a chick with him, and that's why he would lollygag on a lot of them long distance moves. See, I would think he would be by himself, but he would always take a broad with him. You know what I'm saying? Because that was his opportunity to snatch his side chick away from his wife. He would take his
Right,
side chick on the road with him. Excuse me. So that's why he would lollygag. He would take those long distance moves as an adventure vacation with his side chick. You see what I'm saying? But I found that out later on after he didn't work for me years later. But shit like that is the reason now why I'm just like, when I look back on all that stuff that I went through, I'm like, man, I really, during those time frames when I was really at scale, I really endured a lot to get to the bag, man. And I just, I'm glad, I appreciate you coming on here to kind of tell your story, and it kind of just reiterates a lot of the stuff that I talk about on the channel, because a lot of people that watch the channel are aspiring entrepreneurs that are getting into the business, and I do keep it real with them, you know what I'm saying? And I don't want people, and at this point, I have a really good core following, and they know I keep it real with them. Like, it's not all peaches and cream. I don't sell people BS about, you get into this business, you make money. Yes, you're gonna make money, but it's gonna come with a lot of trials and tribulations. So, you know, you in closing, because I know you got to get out of here. Within the 3.5 years you made 250 gross your first year. You didn't crack a million collectively within those 3 years. You pretty much got close to it. What you say, about three
man.
quarters of $1 million?
I got about maybe 650,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I may be underlining it by maybe 10 G's. I ended up doing a lot more moves than I ever expected. I really did,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then I ended up meeting this one black guy that, used to drive down my block every day, and he would have so many goddamn moves a day. He would swing by and give me like three a day,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be like, a studio or one bedroom, and then once he felt comfortable, he started giving me bigger moves. And I don't know how the hell he advertised, but people used to, like, I guess, look up movers, and he would pay for his company to pop up first on Google.
Mm-hmm.
And they pop up, and he was constantly getting moves. Constantly getting moves.
Yeah.
And then for a while there, there's this old man that parks a couple, you've probably seen him, box trucks over on 71st. I think it's
Yeah.
like
Right
off of
off
Indiana.
off of Indiana. Got this rent.
$65 an hour rent
Yeah. Rent
driver
with.
and truck.
Yeah, I see him.
And he don't do shit. All he does is drive the truck. You load the truck your damn self, and you unload it your damn self. He ain't telling you how to load it. He ain't telling you how to unload it. And all he does is drive it from A to B. And he sit in the truck, drinking his coffee and reading his newspaper.
So what'd you do with your trucks? You sold them off?
Ended up selling them off one by one. One of them I had a blown engine in it. So, that one I just was like, the hell with it. Sent it to the scrapyard. Didn't want to deal with none of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I was done.
In
Yeah.
closing, if you had to give advice to someone that was coming into this space at this in this day and age, because when you started doing your own thing, it was still some time ago. Obviously, when I started was before you, so it was a different time then. We're living in different times now. Cost of entry is a lot higher. A lot of the parameters, as far as the things that the logistics companies require now, is a lot different. Now they're charging you for the route if you don't show up. See, back
Oh, wow.
then, yeah, they wouldn't, if you had to drop a route because someone didn't show up, they would be mad at you, but they didn't charge you for the route. Now they're charging you for the route. So the things are a lot different. If you could give advice to an aspiring entrepreneur that was coming into this space right now in a minute's worth of advice, what would it be?
If you're going to get in this game, give it 110%. Do your best. Be professional at all times. And pay attention and talk to people when you go to do deliveries. Because you never know who you're delivering for. You may be delivering for a person that works for a university and, they may need boxes moved. I've been in that situation. You may talk to a little old lady whose niece just bought a house and getting ready to move. You may meet someone who's a real estate agent, sells houses all the time. Just give it 110% and always be professional. And believe it or not, that'll take you a long way. Don't try to grow rapidly. I feel that if my growth would have been a little slower, I'd still be doing this. But it happened so quickly that, I'm like, oh, fuck this. I'm done. I don't need to get no bigger. I'm not going to deal with these headaches. And just kind of the people you hire, sit down and talk to them. Figure out your own questions for these people so you can fill them out. And just hire reliable people. Hire trustworthy people. Because the worst thing in the world is to go in somebody's house and you're putting a TV on a wall in a bedroom, setting up a dresser in a bedroom, and then you get a phone call and they say, my Rolex is missing.
Hmm.
You don't want to never be in that position. Thank God I've never been in that position.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do your due diligence. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and I don't know if I told you before, your first tenure with me, your second tenure with me, regardless. Well, obviously, I didn't hold no grudge because even after you did your own thing, I let you come back. So it's with me, everything is always business. It's not personal. If it was personal with me, I would have never let you come back the second time. Everything
Right.
with me is all business. So like everything you did, I appreciate it. Even I remember when I first bought this place, you hung all my TVs.
Yep. They're
You know
still
what I'm
on the
saying?
wall.
They're still on the wall.
Not loose at all.
Right.
Matter of fact, I told you, grab a rack. You like, is it up there good? Grab a rack and hang on it. Your ass was hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
Then your ass grabbed it and you hung on it. And you was like,
Yep.
damn, it's on there.
And that
You
was
know?
10 years ago. I bought this place. Well,
Yep.
9.5 now, so 10 years, and these TVs still on the wall. I probably need you to come back because I wanna redo the TVs. And I'm gonna change this studio around. I got some stuff I want to work on. I got another project at another property. If you willing to do the side work for
Oh
me,
yeah. Just let me know when
um,
you need it done. I got you.
yeah. So I got another property. I need some stuff done, and then I got a project that I do want a sit down because I got a bunch of stuff that I want to do. All right, different businesses that I have, but I got new business ideas that I want to do. The thing is I don't want to do anything else by myself, right? So I want to
Got you.
split the risk with reliable people that I can trust. And I got an idea for something. I got a few ideas since me and you reconnected that I know would work for you, and these are ideas that I want to put in play that I just haven't gotten around to them. But if I could sit down, I kind of got like a project manager idea because you are mechanically inclined. You can be my eyes and ears and like a project manage some of these ideas that I want to put to life. Uh, and I ultimately I know the value that you can provide. I remember one time it was a something I needed put together, and you showed me you were gonna put it together when you got back to the office, but y'all had a late day. And I'm like, Rob, I need this put together because it has to get delivered. You pissed a fit because I was sitting in the office on the other side. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it
And
was like that little white island deal.
yeah, and you were mad. I know you were tired, and I heard you huffing and puffing when I was in my office, but you did it. So I really value the hard work that you put in for both stints that you had with me, and I got some stuff for you, man. I got some stuff. We just need to sit down maybe sometime in July. I'll take you to dinner, and I want to run some stuff past you because I think you'll be a good project manager. But first, I gotta have you do some stuff on a couple properties. First here,
It's no
and
problem. I got you.
we're gonna connect. I appreciate you taking the time out, Rob. I do want to invite you back on a later date to just kind of, if you don't mind being a reoccurring guest, and some other things that I think you could bring value to some of the people that are coming into the space that would like to hear from someone um, that has done it. All right. A lot of people come to me and they want to, kind of pick and I don't mind giving people the sauce, but the level that I got to at my peak, everybody's not going to get to that level. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Everybody's not going to get to that level. So it's good for them to hear from someone that got to a moderate level that still saw success. Everybody has these big dreams of running 20 trucks, but not everybody's going to get to that point. So I want to bring you back again. And once again, I appreciate you for coming on tonight, taking time out your day. I appreciate everything that you did for me, both stints again. Without people like you and a few others, I would not be who I am today. You know what I'm saying? Because you guys, even though I started the business out on the trucks, in order for me to get to where I got to after that third truck, I had to come off that truck to push it to where I did. And then you guys kind of were in the field while I was in the office making everything happen and keeping people working. So guys like you, Dre, even though Dre is a pain in my ass and a nutcase, and a few other people that kind of I really, really depended on. And then there was hundreds or maybe 1,000 others that I don't even remember that really didn't amount to shit. You were one of the, and I mean that too. You were one of the people that really I could lean on, and I really appreciate. If I didn't say it then, I'm saying it now. I appreciate you. I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't even be Mark the Mentor. I would have never got to the point where I got to even be here years later, telling my story, giving advice, training people, coaching people, for the most part, pro bono. The reason why I can do a lot of this pro bono, and for those that don't know what pro bono means, it means free. If I wouldn't have had the success, you know what I'm saying, throughout my tenure, that I could take time and give away myself for free to people pro bono who need the information so that they can ultimately kind of go around some of the learning curve at the beginning so that they can see some type of success. So I appreciate you.
No problem, my brother. All right,
I
just hit
appreciate
me
you.
up, Mark.
All right.
Number love,
Appreciate
brother.
appreciate you, man.
All right, later.
Yep. All right, guys. So that was Rob. And that was his story. He came up under my tutelage. He worked for me. He went out and did his own thing for a couple of years, and he came back and worked for me again. And I'm glad you guys were able to hear his story. He just reiterated a lot of the stuff that I always talk about. It's not easy. A lot of the corner cutting that he talked about, sometimes you got to do that when you're running a small business. I've cut some corners, not a lot of corners. Like he told you how he was dealing with his garbage. I couldn't do that. I got a warehouse. I had 2 10-yarders, a 10-yarder just for recyclables, for cardboard. I had a 10-yarder for trash, and then I had another 2-yarder for trash. And those things were getting filled up. Republic Service coming every 2 days. Every 2 days. So, he had to cut corners. He was parking on a lot. I got a big warehouse. I couldn't cut corners with 30, 35 people, 15 trucks. Peak season, I might have, not peak season, but peak season for me is the spring and summer because of the moving. With my 15 trucks, we might go rent another 5 trucks for the summer. So sometimes I would have 20 trucks. So, being a small entrepreneur, it's a lot of ups and downs, you know what I'm saying? So you got to put in the work. You have to put in the work. It's not easy. Ain't no days off. Ain't no laying up. You got to get up. You got to get out here and you got to get it. I try to motivate people as much as I can, but, didn't nobody motivate me. Motivation is really like, if somebody got to motivate you to be an entrepreneur, then you might want to think twice about being an entrepreneur. What drove me was discipline. And even to this day, I'm still disciplined. All right. If you just look, even last Thursday, I'm on this live falling asleep, but I've already committed to Thursday nights. That's discipline. You see what I'm saying? I only eat once a day. That's discipline. I don't have any children. I didn't bring any children into this world in my 20s and 30s because I was building a business. I knew in order to get to where I needed to get to, kids were going to slow me down. So utilizing contraceptive to prevent me bringing a kid into this world, no matter what the night, if it was a great night and I might have had a few drinks and I was drunk, I still did what I had to do. That's discipline. And nobody had to motivate me to do nothing. I knew what the goal was. I wanted to get to the goal, and discipline got me to the goal. Discipline continues to get me to the goals that I'm still want to reach. New business adventures that I still want to do. Is discipline is what drives me, not motivation. Discipline. So I want people to get some type of discipline about themselves, and you'll see success. You know what I'm saying? You'll see success. I think this was a great episode. I'm gonna take 3 questions and I'm gonna get out of here. So if it's 3 questions, the first 3 questions, I'll answer 3 questions and I gotta get out of here. So I'll take 3 questions and I gotta get out of here. While I'm waiting for those 3 questions to come up, I've been really thinking, because the more, it's like as time continues to go on, I get approached more and more. All right. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate people wanting to learn from me. People want me to coach them. A lot of people want to pay me money to mentor them. I don't do mentor, but it's really been, I'm like, how can I do a program without it being a mentorship? Because I don't want to dedicate myself. So I think I came up with an idea to do a program that's not a mentorship, but it's something that will help people along the way, and it won't put me in a position where I'm obligated to you. All right. It won't be an expensive like a mentorship. It won't be a mentorship. It's going to cost something, but it's not going to cost a lot. It's going to be on a subscription-based model. And it's not going to be a mentorship, but it's going to be a collective gathering. And it'll be something that people will be able to take advantage of, because I keep getting hit up. So I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of do this without obligating myself. I can't do a mentorship, guys. I just got too much going on. I don't want to charge people. My mentorship, like what people are charging $7, $8, $9, $10,000 and people are getting upset. My mentorship will cost that much, but you're going to get value. I just can't dedicate myself. I got too much going on, and I don't want people calling me 2, 3 in the morning. When I go to sleep, I want to be asleep. Don't call me. I don't want to do it. So I think I got an idea to kind of not do a mentorship, but do something else that's not a mentorship, but help people, and then it'll be below the fraction of the cost of a mentorship as well. It'll be really, really inexpensive. So I'm working on that. Once I get all of that figured out, I'll do a promo for it and release it. Now, it won't be an ebook, MD. It won't be a guide. It's going to be me in the flesh, communication. So it'll be me communicate with people. All right, so I'll take 3 questions and then I'm gonna get up out of here. How do I feel about Rolo Transport? I don't feel anything about it. Indifferent, I guess. What would have happened if they would have gotten pulled over driving 16 hours? Nothing would have happened, because it was under the radar. That's what's called under the radar. So when you're under the radar and you're driving that vehicle, it's just like they're driving themselves. So it's just like if I go rent a Penske truck or I go rent a U-Haul truck, and let's say they would have got stopped for some infraction, whatever it was, speeding, no blinker, whatever. They're moving themselves. They're moving themselves. So it wouldn't have been treated as an infraction. It would just been treated as a traffic stop for a citizen, because it was under the radar, and you know what? It's always going to be people that want to, listen. I don't run middle mile, never ran middle mile, final mile, and moving. If somebody says, yo, I got a newborn baby, every moving company is telling me 15 to 30 day turnaround, I can't be without furniture, and I know this is a $10,000 move, Mark is going to run that shit under the radar. I don't care what nobody else do. Mark going to take penitentiary chances that ain't going to put me in the penitentiary. I'm not leaving $10,000 on the table. Now, I'm not saying you go do this. Mark knows how to move and shake. All right. Mark knows how to move and shake, and Mark has 14-year customers. Look, we're not going to move this in one of my trucks. My trucks are Mark. I got trucks that are branded. Not going to move it in none of my truck. We're going to rent a Penske truck. It's going to look like we move it ourselves. That's the only way I can get it to you in 2 days. Other than that, it's going to be the same turnaround time like everybody else. What you want to do? Now, if I had to do that, it's going to be a little bit more money. Yeah, I'll pay them more money because I got a newborn baby. I need the cribs. I'm not going to go out and buy another temporary crib. I need the furniture to be there and be set up when we get there in 2 days. You come load this stuff up. I need that stuff there. And the day we'll hop on a flight. All right, well, it's going to be 12 grand. All right, here goes 6 grand. Get the other 6 grand when we get there. I'm not leaving that on the table. You're talking about 7 acres of land, 7,000 square foot warehouse, 30 to 35 employees, 15 to 20 trucks, taxes, bills, unemployment taxes, Republic Service picking up dumpsters of trash and cardboard every twice a week, light bill, gas bill, and every other bill. when you are a small business owner, sometimes you have to cut corners. You got to know which corners to cut and when to cut them and who to cut them with. A repeated customer that we've moved before, I can do that with, because I'm giving them the script. Look, the only way we're going to be able to do this, we got to do it under the radar. We're not going to have any numbers. We're going to have to rent a truck. It's going to have to look like they're moving themselves. All right, come on with it. All right, it's going to be 12 grand. I got to get that. I have to get that. I'm not leaving 12,000 on the table. Now, somebody can say, well, Mark, I don't give a goddamn. Because Mark living goddamn good. So it is what it is. So that's just what it is. So, I knew, when we got to that part, when he told that story, it was going to be that, listen, and you heard what he said, he got paid. So it is what it is. All right. The reason and how I got to where I got to is by putting in the work and not being lazy. Sometimes you got to take those chances. Sometimes you have to take those chances. Now, if you're a middle mile guy, no, you can't take those chances. You're a middle mile guy. You can't do that. You can't do that. But when you're dealing with directly with a consumer that we've moved locally, legitimately, right? Let's say, and they say, you know what, Mark, my job has a job offering for me in Florida, but I need the stuff there in a day and a half. There's no way I can legally do that in a day and a half. But this is a customer we've been moving for, let's say, the past 5 years locally. All right, this is the way we got to do it. The only way we're going to be able to do it is this way. It's going to be under the table, under the radar. You want to do it or what? Yeah, let's do it. And that's how you do it. So, I don't know what to tell you. Sometimes people try to, whatever. I don't give a damn. Hold on. He answered it precisely how I need to. And I'm not saying this to like in a funny way. I just, I think I answered this question earlier. You know what I'm saying? Let me see where I left off at. Definitely no land up. You get a fine. I got a waste of a question. Are you still contemplating retirement? Retirement. Well, when I say retirement, it's from operating the way I've been operating. Obviously, I'm not running that many trucks, or I don't have 35 people working for me in that industry no more. But I just don't want to deal with people anymore. You know what I'm saying? So things that I have now require little to no people. So like even with Rob, I know the value Rob brings. So me bringing him in under me as a project manager still allows me the time to continue to be creative and think of other ideas and build other avenues to make money, because I know he's mechanically inclined. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to tell the ideas right now online. I want to talk to him about it, and we're going to make something happen. And me bringing him in as a project manager allows me more time to be creative. So it's not that I'm retiring. I'm just removing myself from running trucks. I don't need to run trucks no more. I made my money there. All right. It's time for me to move on. I'm still in trucking, obviously. I have a consulting company in trucking. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in trucking, just not, and in transportation, just not running a fleet of trucks, final mile, dealing with people, dealing with the headaches. No, I'm too old for that now. I've been there, done, I made my money. So not retiring, just doing other things that don't involve that many people and that many headaches. All right. You can only deal with people and headaches for so long, and then eventually you're not going to want to deal with it no more. Like every day I try to listen to at least one interview from a successful millionaire or billionaire. So today I chose to listen to an interview with the CEO of Kinko's. For those of you that are a little bit older, remember a company called Kinko's. Back in the 90s, it was a place where you could go and do Xerox copies. They would charge you to make copies, and they would charge you to fax documents and stuff like that. And he sold it for $1.5 billion to Kinko's. I mean, not to Kinko's. It was Kinko's. He sold it to FedEx, right? So in the interview, they asked him what was the most driving factor for him to sell the business, and it was to not have to deal with employees anymore. Dealing with employees eventually will drive you crazy. All right, being in moving and being in final mile, listening to Rob, the people he had to deal with, the stories that I've told you of the people I had to deal with. Listen, for me to run a business and not have to deal with a lot of BS, I had to hire an enforcer to handle all the little petty stuff. You hear him talking about certain people he had to work. Okay, I'm running 30, 35 people. Different gangs, all type of stuff. I don't have time to deal with that, yo. And the person I had that was handling all the little inner issues within the company where I could focus on the business, he wasn't trying to hear nothing. He dealt with the people that worked, the mentality as he saw fit. Some people you couldn't do corrective action with. Some people he had to go upside their head. So dealing with people who don't have a business mind frame, a business mindset, dealing in the market that I'm in, where everybody's affiliated with something, right? And then you're bringing a bunch of people together to have to work together that have different affiliations. And they're in an environment that's testosterone driven. It's frustrating. You got men lifting things up and down, 90-degree day, 80-degree day, 0-degree day, furniture. It can become frustrating. And when you put 3 men in a truck together from different walks of life, from different organizations, from different affiliations, eventually there's going to be a clash. I don't have time to deal with that. So I had him deal with that. After a period of time of dealing with different personalities, like even he talked about, it's just something that you get tired of. You grow less patience. When you're trying to chase the bag, right? And you're trying to get to a goal, right? You're willing to accept and put up and deal with a lot of this stuff. Once you reach that goal and you start venturing off and investing in other things and start getting money from other different places, you're going to find yourself getting frustrated with that because you don't have to endure a lot of what you had to endure on your come up. You already came up and you found other ways to take that money from that main asset and put it into other things to bring in more money. The stuff that I was willing to endure with dealing with people during my come up, I'm not in that position that I don't have the patience to deal with it anymore. I don't have to deal with it anymore. So I'm not going to deal with it. All right. You know, like I said, and like he reiterated, you're not going to get college graduates and things like that to do this type of work. It's 2 sets of individuals that you're going to get to do this work. Felons and immigrants. And most of the time illegal. That's it. That's all. I've always kept it funky. And when you're dealing with those type of people, like, their mindset isn't that of a business nature. They don't understand decisions that you may have to make. They don't understand why you do certain things. They'll adhere to your policies upon inquiring and accepting the job. Listen, you break it, you bought it. This is final mile. This is moving. You do the things the way we train you to do it, you won't have any issues. If you decide to do something a different way than what you were trained, or you find yourself being negligent and you damage somebody's property or you damage somebody's goods, then you're going to pay for it. Yeah, okay, I ain't going to worry about that. Yeah. And you sign off on it and it goes in your folder with your name on it. And then you have an issue and then I hit your check. And then now it's, man, I'll come blow this bitch up and all that stuff. Eventually you get tired of dealing with that. You don't want to deal with that. But that's the mindset of the person you're dealing with. Even though you signed off on, you break it, you bought it, you gonna pay for the claims that things you damaged, you gonna pay for it, and they okay and they agree to it. But when it happens, it's I'm gonna blow this bitch up. You get tired of dealing with that after so many years. I'm not in Lily Flower, Kansas. I'm not in Blossom Blue, Idaho. I'm in Chicago. So the mindset of the people I have to deal with, I don't want to deal with no more. I made my money. I did right by my money. I'm on the bigger and better things. So that's the long answer for your question. I'm surprised I was able to deal with it this long. And it's getting worse now. This young generation, man, you can't threaten them. If they say they're gonna come blow this bitch up, they're probably gonna come blow this bitch up. So, like Rob said, man, I intimidate a lot of people. It's hard to intimidate these shorties nowadays. So no matter, I can have the biggest guns, they gonna go get a bazooka. I go get a bazooka, they gonna go get some grenades. The younger generation, they just cut different. So the way I could rule with, I guess, fear, intimidation, the young generation, you can't do that with them. So, nah, I'm straight. Let me see. Mark is a true delegate. You see how he outsources to work his team to let his mind run free to think of better ways to make money. So yeah, that's the way I think now. But hard work afforded me the opportunity to elevate my mind to think like that now, and have the resources to be able to do that now. Without the hard work, right, to build up the resources to allow myself to be able to do that, then I wouldn't be able to do it. The hard work, my late 20s, all through my 30s, I did the hard work. So there's a saying, I think in your 20s, try everything. In your 30s, spend all your time working, doing what you like to make money. In your 40s, how does that saying go? Hold on, let me look up that saying. Because I don't want to be politically correct. Let me see. Okay, here it is. So, hold on, let me move this over here. Hit that like button too, guys. Hit that like button. In your 20s, try everything. In your 30s, figure out what you do best. In your 40s, make money for what you do best. In your 50s, try not to do too much. All right, let me say that again. In your 20s, try everything. In my 20s, I was trying everything. I was selling cell phone cases. I was doing websites. I was doing a little bit of everything until I found transportation, trucking in my late 20s. In your 30s, figure out what you do best. I figured it out at 29, 30. I figured it out and I expounded on it and I took off. All right. I took off. I applied pressure. All right. In your 40s, make money for what you do best. I made money in my 30s. I'm continuing to make money in my 40s for what I do best. Even though I've got other things going on, I can make money in transportation just based off my tenure of being in the business and my expertise and my knowledge. I just choose at this moment to do a lot of it pro bono. You know what I'm saying? But and there's things that I make money on that I don't tell you. Like, I do big consulting for big companies. I charge them. I don't charge y'all. You see what I'm saying? So I make money for doing something that I've been doing and I know how to do and I'm good at, right? So in your 40s, make money for what you do best. Out of all the business that I've tried, out of all the businesses that I've ventured into, trucking is my expertise. Trucking allowed me to venture into other things. Trucking is the creme de la creme for me. So if I have a portfolio of all my assets, right, everything that I make money off of, trucking is the nucleus. Trucking provided everything around it. Prior to trucking, everything that I tried, I failed at. Trucking was the thing that I got into that worked, that provided me the opportunity to do other things. Now, there's other things that I've tried since I've been in trucking that's failed. I built 2 apps in 2019, spent a lot of money. 2 apps. They failed. I pulled the plug on them because I got tired of draining money into those 2 apps to make them pop. Ultimately, I built those 2 apps because I wanted to sell them. I had no intentions on holding them long term. I wanted to build them, I wanted to scale them, and I wanted to sell them all within 12 months. After 6 months of dumping money into Google and Apple to promote these apps, they didn't get any traction. I decided to pull the plug. So not everything that I ventured into from trucking has worked, but there's things, a lot of things that have worked. So in your 40s, make money for what you do best. In your 50s, try not to do too much. I'm trying not to do too much now. I'm ahead 10 years. So that's like what you're saying. I want to be creative. I know I'm a visionary, I'm a creative. So if I can put people in place to manage certain things while I continue to think of ideas to continue to put people in positions, right, to make money, and then they can put people in positions to make money, then that's what I got to do. So yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? You're right. You get to that point over a period of time, but you know what I don't want people to misconstrue, you have to do the hard work at some point. It's better to do it earlier in your life, but you have to do the hard work to kind of understand the full scope of what being a delegator entails. Without me going through the trials and tribulations of running that scale of trucking business, I wouldn't be able to be the visionary or the creative that I am now at 43. Mark, I was watching a video from a couple of weeks back where you were saying valuation was all the customer gets unless they get insurance. There's no insurance from the company covering that stuff. No, when you're in the moving business, and it's a regulated business, it's a regulated industry, the consumer has to purchase moving insurance in order to cover their goods. The only thing they get free is valuation. Locally, it's 30 cents per pound per article. If it crosses the state, the move crosses state lines, it's 60 cents per pound per article. That's it. Hold on. I know I've been putting out moving content lately, and that's something that I was going to get to. But people keep asking me about this, so let me just pull it up real quick. Let me pull up my state. Give me 1 second, guys. Was this the second or the third question? Because I said only 3. Hold on, let me see something real quick. All right. All right. So I'm gonna pull up my state. Federal is 60 cents per pound per article. All right. Most states is 30 cents per pound per article. Give me 1 second here. I just want you guys to see it. I keep getting asked this question, so I'm gonna put it on the screen so maybe you could take a screenshot. I'm trying to get this PDF. I got this all on my computer. Hold on. Find it. Let me find it. I can't find this PDF. I thought this was it. Me 1 second. Hold on. If I spend another 10 seconds looking for this, then I'm just gonna. You gotta have to wait to the video. Yeah, forget it. I'm not gonna keep looking for that. So anyway, valuation is not insurance, man. All right. Just like I explained it before, valuation is not insurance. Valuation is valuation. That's what the customer gets for free. You got a moving company and you go move somebody and you damage their flat screen TV. It's an OLED, Samsung, $5,000 TV. It's an 85-inch OLED, $5,000, weighs 10 pounds. You drop it, you break it. It pays 30 cents per pound per article. If they don't purchase declared value or full coverage insurance, the only thing that you're required to give them that comes with every move, whether it's locally or long distance, is valuation. It's regulated. 30 cents per pound per article locally, 60 cents per pound per article if it crosses state line. So that $5,000 TV, if they didn't purchase insurance, you're only legally obligated to pay them 30 cents per pound per article. So if it weighs 10 pounds, your company writes them a check for $3. Now it sounds crazy, but it's regulated. It's there to protect the consumer, and it's also there to protect the moving company from. There's a lot of customers out there that have moves scheduled. They have damaged goods or damaged property, and they say, you know what, don't worry about it. We got to move anyway. When the move is over, I'm going to file a claim to get this floor fixed. Hopefully, they don't realize the floor is scratched right there. After the move is over with, I'm going to file a claim and say they did it. That's why it's regulated. It's up to the consumer to purchase declared value, which is depreciated value, or full coverage insurance, which is obviously full coverage. If they don't purchase it, the only thing they get is valuation. 30 cents per pound per article locally, 60 cents per pound per article if it crosses state lines. So if that move crosses state line, that $5,000 TV, it say it gets damaged on a move from Chicago to Florida, it would pay 60 cents per pound per article. So if it weighs 10 pounds, you write them a check for $6. And that's just that. So you saying out of pocket? You're not paying out of pocket. You're not paying at all. You're covering them on valuation. 30 cents per pound per article or 60 cents per pound per article. Now, if you want to be a nice guy and you want to pay for it, then that's on you. But if you just want to pay the valuation, then that's all you're obligated to pay. And your state regulatory agency here is the Illinois Commerce Commission. I don't know where you're from, but whatever your state regulatory agency is, they're going to cover it. They're going to back you up. If it crosses state lines, then the Movers Warehousemen Association of America is going to back you up because that's federal. Now, if you want to be the nice guy and say, you know what, we bogus, we did this, the customer didn't have declared value or full coverage insurance. I know we broke the TV. We were negligent. I don't want to give them the 30 cents. That I just, man, $3, man. We broke that TV. And then your moral compass starts to kick in and you want to go out and buy that customer $5,000 TV, that's on you. But if you don't, you cut them a check for $3. They're going to go on Yelp or wherever, and they're going to write a 1-star review, and that's just going to be the end of that. But technically, they can't file, even if they file a complaint with whoever your state's regulatory agency is. Here is the Illinois Commerce Commission. I know in Texas it's US TXDOT, Texas Department of Transportation. Whoever your state regulatory, you can file a claim with them. They're going to do an investigation. If they say, you know what, sir, did you purchase mover? Send us a copy of your declaration page for your moving insurance. I didn't purchase moving insurance. All right, so what did the moving company say? They gave me a check for $3. Okay, what type of TV was it? They do their investigation. They see that it's a $5,000 TV. It weighs 10 pounds. Well, ma'am, the TV weighs 10 pounds. By our regulations, they're only required to pay you 30 cents per article because that's the valuation. You didn't take out insurance, so I mean, we're going to have to resolve this case in the favor of them. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, they can't stop them from going and dragging your name in the mud on BBB or Yelp or any one of these other review websites, they're gonna do that. Especially if you damage their $5,000 TV, you cut them a check for $3, and they don't went to the state regulatory agency and they backed you up. They gonna be mad as hell. They bought a $5,000 TV, you dropped it, and you gave them a check for $3. So yeah, they're gonna go on a slur parade. They're gonna drag your company's name through the mud. So it's something you're gonna either have to deal with, or you're gonna, I don't know, but you know, that's the business. Yeah, hit that like button, because in the video it's kind of sound like, well, if they don't get insurance, then customers as well. In most cases, they are SOL. But it's the customer's obligation to purchase insurance. Now, throughout my tenure, by the grace of God, we haven't had any issues. I bought a lady a TV 2 years ago, and that was during the pandemic when I was forced to get back out on the truck. That was 2020. I was frustrated. I knew I messed that TV up. Now, I bought the lady a new TV. All right, she had a Westinghouse or an Element. I know that's a Walmart special. I wasn't really tripping. I went to Walmart. I bought her a bigger TV. That was a 40-inch. I bought her a 55-inch. Similar. It was a Hisense or something. It was on sale for like $268. What he do? All right, I bought her a new TV. But let's say that was a TV that was $5,000. I probably would have exercised a little bit more care. I probably would have made the customer buy a TV box. You know, I wouldn't have put myself in that situation. Even if I was frustrated or just having a bad day, I wouldn't have been negligent with how I packed that TV. She didn't have a TV box. She didn't have nothing. But I knew it was a cheap TV, and I just didn't care. And I said, you know, it's one of them days where I just didn't give a F. So I'm like, well, if it breaks, it breaks. I'll buy the lady a new TV. I bought a lady a new TV. What can she say? But pretty much, yeah. If it was a $5,000 TV, who's going to replace a $5,000 TV? If the customer don't have insurance, whether the company was negligent or it just cracked in transport. We had a situation a year ago where there was a move my company did where the lady hired us to move, and her daughter boyfriend was just one of those guys where he just want to be hands-on and everything. He's trying to impress the father and stuff. So he hired his own crew to move too. Now, when my company is somewhere and you got some guys off the street moving stuff too, to me, which didn't make no sense, it's a conflict of interest. You got people bumping into each other. Now, if something goes bad, who to point the finger? Long story short, that TV got damaged. Listen, Mark's company's not paying for that TV because you got another company, they ain't even a company. You got some guys in here that her boyfriend hired because he's trying to impress Papa. We don't know if they damaged the TV in passing. So I can't be held responsible because we're not the only ones here. I didn't pay for the TV. Customer couldn't say nothing because the customer knew I was right because she didn't want them there either. So it's not necessarily that the customer is SOL. It's just the customer was negligent. They didn't buy insurance. And the reason why a lot of customers don't buy moving insurance is because it's very expensive. Some customers have told me they've gotten quoted for the insurance for that one move, just about how much the estimated cost of the move going to be. So in most cases, customers opt out of moving insurance. And what they'll do is, the main thing a lot of customers are concerned about on local moves is their TVs. A lot of people move their TVs themselves because those are the most fragile things. As time goes on, TVs are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and a lot of people don't keep the boxes. The best way to move a TV, especially a real thin TV, is in the original box. And people don't keep the boxes. So the only thing that you can do is wrap it with a moving blanket and stick it on a full truck. And there's no guarantee it's going to get from point A to point B. Even with a thick blanket, 2 or 3 blankets, 4 blankets, 5 blankets. Because you can't sit it on top of something. It has to sit on the floor, and usually it goes in at the end. But for instance, if the truck is packed tight, and let's say there is a little space, it's not a full truck, and the guy has to slam on brakes and stuff shifts, which happens from time to time, and something falls on this TV because it's at the back at the end. So yeah. I'm 1 year in trucking, hasn't been the best, but I refuse to let off the gas. Your game gives me hope, and I have the utmost respect for you, my G. Appreciate you, Johnny P. Appreciate you. All right. I got you. So covering all your employees' goose was just reputation protection. Thank you, brother. I appreciate all you're doing. I appreciate you. I didn't cover, like Rob said in the last video, I didn't cover them all. I covered the ones that I knew they couldn't cover. So if it became a situation where I knew, okay, this is a valuable employee, this is a claim that I know he's not going to be able to pay, or I know I may lose him, I'm going to have to cover this. Because here's the thing. If I got a valuable employee and I got a $1,500 claim, I'm going to make $1,500 of value out of him in 2 days. If it's a move and this person is doing 3 moves a day and he's a valuable employee and this truck is generating $2,500 to $3,000 a day, I'm going to make that back tomorrow. So I'm not going to lose a valuable employee for $1,500. I'm going to have to eat it, be mad at night, cuss, punch the wall, do whatever I got to do. But I can't lose this guy because he's on a truck that's generating me $2,500 a day or $3,000 a day, depending on what time of the year it is or what moves they had, or what type of moves they're doing from day to day. So now I'm going to lose this guy for $1,500 when tomorrow that truck has 3 moves that's going to generate $2,500. I have to eat that. Now, if it's a $300-$400 claim, $500, $600, $800, I need that. I got to get that. Let me get that. If it's somebody that doesn't hold weight, they don't hold value, they're not on my first lineup. See, I have my A crew, my B crew, my C crew, my first team, my second team, and my third string. Listen, it's business. My first string they're gonna get favoritism. Cause my first team is people I can rely on, I can depend on. When we hire new people, they going with the first string. The first string training them. The first string is doing the work that I need them to do. The jobs where, man, you know what? We gotta go do this. Ron Major's call, a news anchor. I'm sending a first string team to go do that. A pro football player, a pro basketball player. What was the lady's name who was filming her show here a few years ago? Rachel Ray or Rachel Roy or whoever the lady was. We had to go do some stuff for her. I'm not sending a third string team to go do that. I'm sending a first string team. So first string teams get favoritism. Yes, favoritism exists in business. Third string, I'm not going to risk a first string person for $1,500 that's grossing $2,500 a day for $1,500. I'm just going to have to be mad. Third string team, you messing up. I need to get that. First string team, $300, $400, $500. Y'all need to get that. You can afford that because you're making $300, $400 a day once you add in tips. Yeah, come on, you're going to have to pay that. You're going to have to pay that. The story he told with Henry's a first string team. Henry, out of all my years in the moving industry, Henry, it's close. It's between him and maybe Dre for the top 2 movers I ever had. Henry was making a lot of money. Henry could afford to pay $600 for a floor that he damaged. Henry never made mistakes. He made a mistake that day. He could pay $600. I'm not going to go upside his head for $600 all at one time. He could have paid it off. He could have paid it off over 6 weeks for all I cared. I just wanted him to pay it. But he didn't see the value in just paying the $600. Henry, at that point, was my highest paid person. He did the whole I'm finna go work somewhere else. Mark put his 2 week notice in to get the raise. I saw the value in him. Henry at that point had became my highest paid employee at that time ever. He raised the bar. He raised the salary cap. I had to keep him. So you're getting paid an exponential amount of money. I expect an exponential amount of value from you. You don't make mistakes. The day you make a mistake, that's an affordable mistake, I need you to pay it. So yes, some claims I would cover. I would cover the ones that I know they couldn't cover. But the ones they could cover, I need to get that. I need it. I need it. I need it. Between the mattresses or you crate with cardboard boxes and shrink wrap. So for moving pads, moving blankets, shrink wrap tape. If you're talking for TV, if they don't have the box, cardboard in front of the screen, and then moving blankets come in different thicknesses. So the heaviest ones they make, you will put those on the TVs. Now, the issue with the TVs as time continues to go on, they keep getting thinner. So those big, thick moving blankets, in some cases, they're too heavy for some of those really thin TVs. Those real thin TVs are a pain when they don't have the boxes. And I've always trained the guys to, give the customer a verbal warning. A TV with a nice frame around it is okay, but these real thin, what do they call them? These thin, like really, really thin frameless TVs, even with a blanket, they're so delicate. If they don't have the box, it's like a 50-50 chance that the thing is going to make it. Even with putting cardboard around it, because just the vibration from the truck. These things are very, 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 very delicate. Most situations, if the customer doesn't have the box, they move them themselves. But every now and again, you'll get a customer that. So. And then with the OLEDs, they're so sensitive, like you really can't even press nothing up against it, even with cardboard, because I don't have an OLED. All right, like Rob put my TVs up, like we talked about here, 10 years ago. I don't watch TV. My TVs are pretty much decoration. You know what I'm saying? They're just decoration. I don't watch TV. I haven't sat in my living room in over 2 years. I bought a brand new living room set in 2020, and I swear to God, if you come to my condo, you don't even see a dent in the leather. It still look brand new because I don't watch TV. They're just decorations. All right. So I don't have an OLED. I don't have the up-to-date TVs. My TVs are 10 years old. But those TVs are so thin. Like my buddy, he has some OLEDs, and he was telling me about how the pixels burn out, and you have to be real delicate, and you're not supposed to touch it with your finger because of the oil from your hand. So those TVs are delicate. Like literally, like you could move that TV and it won't even be a crack. And then when you plug it in, the whole TV got lines in, and there's no physical evidence that it's damaged. Just because so those TVs are real delicate. You have to be very careful. It's best to tell the customer that they need to either have the original box or they're going to have to purchase a TV box. And those TV boxes are pretty expensive. And, just FYI, if you plan on going out, buying an OLED TV, my homie just bought an 85-inch. Keep the box. If you live in an apartment, you know somebody that got a crib that you can store the box in, keep the box. Don't throw the box out. If you buy an OLED TV, keep the box. Those TVs are too finicky. Clean them with just anything. They finicky. Me personally, I'm probably gonna update my TVs just so they can be more up to date, even though I'm not gonna watch them. I'll probably donate these TVs to, I don't know, a church or something. But even still, with me updating, I'm not gonna purchase an OLED. I'm just not gonna do it. Well, Best Buy delivers it, but here's the thing: if you bought the TV, they deliver it, and a year later you gotta move. Best Buy doesn't do household goods moving. You got whatever moving company that's moving you is gonna move it. Yeah, Best Buy deliver it to you, but when it's time to move, you're gonna move. The moving company's gonna move unless you're gonna move it yourself. That's why I'm saying it's best to just keep the box. All right, so I answered questions. I answered some really critical questions that I didn't want to answer, but I knew people were going to ask, well, man, how they go down to Florida and turn around and come right back with the clock? Hey, man, listen here. Listen here, man. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Now, I don't recommend it now, but I've always been transparent with you. Mark ain't leaving $1,000, nah, $2,000. When you get to talking over 5,000, you're talking 10. I think in that case it was 12 grand. Mark gonna do what he gotta do. All right, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, and it is what it is. All right, so this was a great show. I appreciate Rob for tuning in. I got some videos coming out. I got a program that I think may interest some people. So give me some time on that. Monday night, which is July 3rd. We back with the Wiseman podcast. So yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This was a great episode. I hope people got some value from it. And until next time, man, I'm out.